welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following episode. My name is Colton Brown. Mr. Andrew Meadows, my fellow co-host, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Are your legs kind of long? Are they a little on the long side?
Yeah, they're fairly long. I mean, I would say average length is the length of my legs.
Balanced proportions. You don't have you're not too top heavy.
Exactly.
Torso is a fairly normal size.
Perfectly balanced as all things should be.
Ah, okay. Well, that's not what we're here to talk about. So let's not mix our movies together.
I would also like
or we'll
to,
stick long legs on you and see what happens. You know? No, you're not his type. You're not his type. Your birthday doesn't fit, so you're not the type. Oh, you are the Obi-Wan for me. Got a nice beer mug that you're presenting to me. The listeners can't see it, of course, but it's pretty
beer
fancy.
Mug full of beer. There we go.
Yeah, well, that's right. I think we're both. This episode is sponsored by Dogfish Head Brewery, brewing company.
Best.
I think you've got a 90-minute, and I'm rocking a 60-minute. So you might get a little more sloshed than I do if we drink it roughly the same pace. But maybe if you sip a little bit more, then we'll even out. We'll be good. Yeah. So we're here to talk about Longlegs. I mean, it says it in the episode title. It says it a few times in the description. You probably figured it out from the episode art too. And you probably figured it out from me asking Andrew if his legs were long. But in case you hadn't figured it out, hadn't been clued in, you weren't an FBI agent or anything like that, I'm telling you right now, we're here to talk about Longlegs, which is exciting. A neon horror movie, right? Which I think when that first teaser dropped, we were pretty pumped about it. It was very, vague, didn't give a lot away, but very, very intriguing, certainly to the point that now we're here. It came out. We'll talk about it a little bit when we get to the actual movie itself, but I would call it a smash hit, I think, in terms of reception and everything. So it's kind of it's found some legs of its own, I think, to stand on, which is good.
Could they be long?
Good for it. Well, we'll talk about whether they're long or not, at least so far. It's only been out for a couple weeks. This is like the first time we're actually somewhat timely talking about a movie. Now, granted, if I take 3 weeks to edit this, then this is all for
maybe
naught.
not, right.
But when we're recording, we're pretty good. We're only 2 weeks. We've been pacing 3 weeks behind on average for everything, or 2 months or 3 months when you talk about X-Men 97, our last episode. So we're doing okay. We're doing okay here. We did, unfortunately, have to, I think, skip right over A Quiet Place Day 1. I think it's just kind of fallen by the wayside at this point. It's all good. I have seen it. I'll talk about it and catching up later on this episode whenever we get there. It's just how it goes. You're busy. I'm busy. We're both busy. We got to pick and choose, right? And we're going to talk about it again later in the episode. There's a lot that's already sort of out, has been out for a little bit, stuff that's coming up right away. So we're going to have a lot kind of on our plate. And so we'll either have to pick and choose or just be super late to the party with a bunch of other stuff. But yeah, Quiet Place. We'll talk about it later. A little sizzle for later. Longlegs is here though. Longlegs was the one that I think really caught our interest. Probably more than a lot of things in recent memory, I would say. So we'll have to weigh in on whether it was worth the hype, worth the excitement, the build up and all that stuff. But we can always start with a fun fact about Longlegs, though. I have one about Longlegs, but I want to offer up the opportunity to you if you have anything.
Mostly empty-handed.
Just with the beer, just beer in hand. That's all
I got.
Fun fact is, this episode is brought to you by Dogfish Head Brewing Company. I don't think they're giving us any money. So I have a fun fact about the man who wrote the screenplay and directed this film, Longlegs, by the name of Osgood Perkins. Great name. So Osgood Perkins comes from a very interesting family. His father was the late actor Anthony Perkins, who I think is most recognizable for playing the character of Norman Bates in Alfred Hitchcock's suspense thriller Psycho. So he's the son of Anthony Perkins. We have seen that. We talked about it once upon a time on our 7 Decades of Horror bonus episode from maybe a couple of years back, whenever that was. Good movie. So yeah, which is pretty cool. It's a very cool thing. And so that was going to be my kind of fun fact, and then I, did a little bit of a Wikipedia deep dive, and I'm like, this guy's got all sorts of familiar relations. It's pretty crazy. He's the grandson of, I think, an Italian fashion designer, Elsa Schiaparelli, who was a great niece of Giovanni Schiaparelli. I just said those names differently, so that way one of them is right and the other one is wrong. 50% chance.
Covering all bases, right?
And that was an Italian astronomer. But his mother was an actress named Barry Berenson. This is not a fun fact. This is a sad fact. Died in the September 11th attack. She was on one of the planes that struck the World Trade Center, which is kind of insane. His brother is a man named Elvis Perkins, another great name.
Not to be confused with Elvis Presley, right?
Not correct. Who's a folk rock musician, and in his spare time does movie scores. Sometimes he does them under the pseudonym Zilgi and writes scores for horror feature films like Longlegs. So it's a real family affair here. So yeah, and Osgood Perkins, aka Oz, he also goes by Oz, has done a little bit of acting in his career. He got his start as a young boy playing young Norman Bates in Psycho 2. He played the dorky law student in Legally Blonde in 2001. He was also in small roles in Not Another Teen Movie, the 2009 J.J. Abrams Star Trek. He had a small role in Jordan Peele's Nope 2022. And he's directed a few horror films. This is the first one that I've seen. You might have seen, I think it's ringing bells. I Am the Pretty Thing That Lives in the House. It was a Netflix movie. Does that sound familiar?
I haven't seen it, but I know of it.
Okay. All right. I was thinking maybe you had, but he's done a couple other things. He's got another one coming up next year called The Monkey, which I think is about a toy monkey. Very scary. So yeah, interesting guy. And he's 50 fucking years old, which makes sense, based on his parents and everything, but looks good. Looks good for his age. And, maybe he's got some interesting things, going on in terms of filmmaking prowess, but we can get there. So anyway, yeah, that's my little fun fact about, I guess sort of adjacent to Longlegs itself as far as the movie itself goes. But yeah, I mean, Longlegs would not exist without Osgood Perkins bringing it to life. So yeah, I thought it was pretty interesting. Pretty interesting guy.
Yeah.
I do have another non-Longlegs fun fact, if you'd like to hear it, which is something that is not news to you, but maybe news to our listeners, and that is that Anna and I are very close to closing on a new home.
Man.
It's a new home for us. It's technically a used home. It's been around since the 1920s, so it's an older home in Philadelphia, in South Philadelphia. So we are set to close on that in just under a couple of weeks from recording. So everything seems to be on track, knock on wood.
You got the date? You got a date?
August 6th is the current date that we have set for closing. So assuming everything goes off without a hitch, that's kind of when we'll close. We'll get access. We've got some work that's going to be done on it, so we won't get to move in until till closer to the end of August. But it's very exciting. We're very excited about it. It's significantly larger than our current apartment, different side of town, Philly, but should be easy enough for work and for living the life and stuff like that. So very exciting, but I throw it out there because it's fun. It's cool and all, but it is probably going to throw off our August recording schedule. We'll have to work around things like and we'll be homeless at any point or anything like that. But between moving and everything, and we'll be on vacation for some time in August as well. We'll figure it out, is what I'll say. But be prepared for very erratic recording and release schedules. Probably even more irregular and erratic than they have been since baby came along. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So it's two of us with lives in chaos for a little bit, but we'll figure it out. So anyway,
we do. Yeah.
We're excited. We're very, very excited. Daydreaming about, this is going to go there, just the little things. Well, the basement, oh my God, storage. What is that? I've never heard of that concept. We're maybe going to have a theater room. We got to get it wired to not, blow up, electrical equipment and all that jazz. But, theater room setup is definitely something that's in the works, which will mostly be transporting our current living room setup and putting it into a bedroom, to convert it into a theater room space. But, yeah.
It's only up from there, though. It's awesome.
Yeah. So, So it'll be busy. We're kind of the calm before the storm right now, but we're very excited. So that's my second fun fact to share with listeners. And look, you know what? I think Baby B's coming in the clutch. Baby B is here as a fun fact. He is the most fun fact about your life. Is that he's your son?
Ba? Nope. He's not gonna say anything.
He's a little shy right now. Hi, Bennett. Hi, bud. I see a smile. That counts for something.
Hey.
His hair looks nice. How did that happen?
Mommy likes to brush his hair.
Oh, okay. I was thinking maybe he got a haircut recently, but I don't know what I know.
Oh, yeah, he did. Yes, he did get a haircut. He got a haircut at Disney World.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse did it himself.
Yeah, Mickey Mouse come cuts her hair, Gups. Yeah. Mickey Mouse come cuts her hair.
Looking very, very, very spiffy.
Yeah, I'll eat that. Thank you. Mmm. Bye-bye.
Bye, Bennett.
Bye-bye, dear.
Goodbye.
Bye-bye, Gups.
Sometime.
Okay. Sorry about that.
Look at that. We're starting this episode off with a bang. 2 fun facts, a baby cameo. What more could you ask for? Oh, some people died. You want to talk about that? Oh, great. That's what you wanted. Really. That's it's a little morbid. I have to say. I'm a little shocked that that's where your head went, but I do unfortunately have news for you. And for the listeners, we have. So before we talk about Longlegs, we've got an in memoriam section. We're bringing it back because people died, unfortunately. We have headlines. We have some headlines, and we've got some trailers and everything. To quote Andrew Meadows, who I don't think was quoting anything in particular, we've got 4 entries in each section, so things are perfectly balanced, as all things should be. So yeah, let's talk about some folks who are no longer with us. Starting with Donald Sutherland. Actor Donald Sutherland died age 88. A beloved actor who was in a great many things. He was in the original MASH movie, 1970. Clute recently was President Snow in the Hunger Games franchise. I think he was the old President Snow, not the young handsome one in the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. In case anyone couldn't make that connection. I mean, huge storied filmography that I could spend 10 minutes just going down the list of. But was in a lot of stuff. A very recognizable, very good actor. Something on Wikipedia that it notes is he's considered one of the best actors never nominated for an Academy Award, but he was given an honorary award from the Academy in 2017, which I think is deserved because he, really had a long career acting and was a great actor. So it's definitely a sad loss. He's also the father of Kiefer Sutherland, if anyone's never made that connection. But I think he's actually the one that broke the news about Donald Sutherland's passing. But age 88, pretty good run. And just
prolific
leaves
career,
behind a big legacy of just lots and lots of movies. Dirty Dozen, Kelly's Heroes, Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Maybe. Yeah, probably. I don't know.
Was he Snowpiercer? Wasn't he the guy at the front of the train?
He might have been. There's maybe a lot. I'm not sure. I don't know for a fact, but a lot going on there. TV work too. Should be said. HBO movie Citizen X won an Emmy for that. Golden Globe for HBO film Path to War 2002. Was in The Undoing a few years ago. I did watch that. So yeah. Donald Sutherland, fortunately no longer with us. So rest in peace to him. You have anything to add?
I take it back.
You'd like to add?
Snowpiercer. I know who. I can't think of his name, but
he was in other things, and we know that for a fact.
A great many things.
A great many things, indeed. So John Landau is unfortunately the next person on this list, who I think, we usually talk about actors, maybe a director, and this might be the first time in Watch Review Repeat history that we're talking about a producer passing away. And John Landau passed away at age 63, died of cancer, which, sucks, fuck cancer. But he is recognizably like the biggest major producing partner of James Cameron, Jimmy C. So this is a guy that produced Titanic, all of the Avatar movies, including the upcoming Avatar movies, which are, I think, mostly shot or in some stages of being shot. So, 3 of the 4 highest grossing films of all time, this guy produced, which is very impressive. One of those 4 movies, but he did produce this one, is Alita Battle Angel. I think he was a big driving force in getting that made, along with, of course, James Cameron. But yeah, I mean, producing 3 of the highest grossing films of all time, pretty fucking impressive. And again, if you're gonna hitch your saddle to anyone, hitching it to James Cameron's a pretty fucking smart decision. But maybe, it's not, maybe James Cameron without Landau is not the same, at the same time. Like maybe these two really did, know how to make these things happen together, So yeah, I just think it's kind of crazy, to have that sort of legacy too, on from a producing side of things, where I'm like, I recognize this guy's name. Like he always gave interviews, was very affable, and just feels like 63 is too young. 63 is definitely too young is how I feel about it. So you were seeing something? Yeah,
I was reading the Variety article here. At the age of 29, he became the executive vice president of feature film production at 20th Century Fox. At 29 years old.
29. Pretty impressive.
Oversaw films such as Die Hard 2, Power Rangers, The Last of the Mohicans, 94's True Lies.
And
then
Jimmy C.
Which he made with Jimmy C. And then Jimmy C wanted him to make Titanic with him.
And the rest
29 years old. Vice president of production for Fox. What? That's crazy.
I'm looking at it. Became chief operating officer at James Cameron's Lightstorm Entertainment. So, Dark Horse Comics, Penguin Random House. Well, yeah, I mean, tons of stuff. Oh, the Avatar video game is involved in that too. Guess it makes sense. All the Avatar stuff kind of sticks together, I think, pretty close to the chest with all that stuff in that franchise. But, yeah, I mean, seems like a pretty impressive guy, 29's, I mean, I'm older than that. I'm not fucking vice president or whatever at Fox, so
it's pretty huge.
Guess it'd be sort of 20th century Disney now or whatever, but whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, yet again, we say rest in peace to John Landau. Halfway there, folks. Strap in. Shelley Duvall is next up. She died July 11th, age 75. I think most recognizable for her role in The Shining, of course, where she was tormented by Jack Nicholson, and just a very extremely memorable performance, we should say, about The Shining. The Shining, have we actually covered that in any capacity? I mean, I'm sure we have talked about it, but I feel like we never properly actually done an episode or something. Yeah, definitely. I mean, do a Kubrick bonus episode, really. I mean, not a full filmography, maybe break it down a little bit, pick a couple, but yeah, no, I mean, Shelley Duvall, super, super recognizable in that. Also starred in 7 films, directed by her mentor, Robert Altman. Died in her sleep, complications from diabetes, like I said, age 75. So, yeah, I don't think that she had been working recently. I think that, I don't know if she outright retired, or what, but it says 2002 she took an extended hiatus from acting in public life, which tracks, because I feel like she definitely kind of had her heyday where she was in a lot more stuff, and as we were growing up, was not anyone I don't think we really saw in much, but
no,
but certainly very memorable in those movies that she did appear in, which I have to say The Shining is kind of really probably one of my only few things that I've seen her in, to be quite honest. She's also in a film called Time Bandits, which I think is getting some sort of TV series adaptation. Maybe started already on Apple TV. I can't remember, but just side note there, I guess. But yeah, if nothing else,
I mean that's the
Shining,
the one, right? But it's a memorable one. It's a big one.
Oh, totally. Right. So, yeah, rest in peace to Shelley Duvall as well. And that brings us to our last person who we must say goodbye to. They're all sad stories, but I think this one particularly is definitely a very, very sad story. Shannen Doherty, who I think most recognizably a television actress, Beverly Hills 90210, Charmed, she played a witch on Charmed, had been diagnosed with breast cancer back in 2015, fought for a long time, but unfortunately lost her battle at age 53, which is far, far too young. It's very sad. I think, again, for me, another touchstone. I watched a lot of Charmed back in the day, which I really liked Charmed, I'll say. But I think one of the bigger touchstones for me is she was in Mallrats, the Kevin Smith movie Mallrats, as basically the lead, I guess.
Wasn't she? Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that Kevin Smith put up a very nice tribute after her death, and basically it was like, she's the only reason I could even get this movie made, is having, a huge star, a TV star anchoring this movie. So, it just kind of showed the clout that she had really in the 90s, between 90210, moving into Mallrats, and then Charmed, I think, was after Mallrats. So yeah, and like I said, for me, very recognizable, watched a lot of those things. 90210, maybe not so much, but I know what it is. I feel like my mom definitely watched it. You know what I mean?
I know a lot of people that did. Right.
Right. Exactly. So yeah, and I think really the past decade she's had I think been very public and forthright about her struggles with breast cancer and all the treatment and everything that she'd been through. And I think it had gone into remission a few different times and come back with the vengeance, and just a really awful saga. Very ugly saga.
A long one. Jeez.
And a long
like
protracted battle. Yeah, which is just really, it's good obviously to get as many years as you can, but man, yeah, that just sounds
exhausting,
absolutely miserable. Yeah, for sure. So yeah, rest in peace to Shannen Doherty as well. So yeah. You ready to talk about other things? Maybe
yeah,
nicer things. We got like a horror movie. I kept most of the new. Like, I feel like talking about dead people is pretty on brand. This next piece of news is probably the only thing that's maybe a little off brand, and everything else is at least kind of, you can rope it into the horror or horror adjacent genre. So here's your one break and break in the action. And that's, pretty out of fucking nowhere piece of news. Sony Pictures. We bring them up a lot on this podcast, talking about the fuck are they doing this time, and it's like, oh my God, Morbius. Oh my God, Madam Web. Oh my God, Craven the Hunter. Oh my God, Venom. Let there be the Last Dance. And yeah, okay, those are all the Marvel examples. I get it, but
they're
Uncharted. I don't know. Anytime Sony Pictures does something, you're just like, oh fucking hell, here we go. They made an interesting move. This is not making a movie, but figuring out maybe ways to show movies. Sony Pictures has acquired the Alamo Drafthouse cinema chain, the theater chain, which I don't think there are any locations near you. There are none super near me. I think there's some in New York now, actually. I think it originally started in Texas. I've been to a few out there. It's a very cool theater chain, basically, with the strict no talking, no texting, we'll kick you out, no refund, go fuck yourself kind of policy, which is great. I could really, really use that around here. They've got food, cocktails, like kind of, like themed stuff, which is really cool. I don't know if they still do it. I think they've brought it back a little bit, but like every big release, they'd put out pint glasses with like really cool art on it. I have about 500 of them in my home right now, which will fit really nice into a new home.
Watch a movie and shut the fuck up.
I fucked up because I'm not actually using one right now, but alas, I could switch it if I get a second beer, and I probably will. Maybe I'll switch my glass just for some little, some synergy. I like to have synergy. I wore an X-Men 97 shirt when we talked about X-Men 97. Yeah. I like to stay on brand. But remember, this beer, Dogfish Head. Alamo Drafthouse. Sony getting in on the fucking theater game. Really interesting, right? Something that was not possible for a long, long time. I don't know if you know this, but there was an antitrust decision known as the Paramount Decrees in 1948, which basically forbade major studios from outright owning their own theater chains, which is why you have Regals, you have your AMCs.
The exhibitors cannot own the...
Right. For a long time, basically, studios could not have their own theaters. They'd have to have a separate company handling the theaters, handling the actual exhibition of their films. In 2020, that rule was repealed. So,
and who advocated for the repealing of that?
I actually don't really know exactly, but it might have been streamers, because Netflix has really been the only one that's actually acquired some small number of theaters. So that could have been the impetus, perhaps. I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I mean, this is like a big wave, though. I mean, you've got an established theater chain with, I don't know exactly how many locations, 35 locations. So not, it's not names.
Pretty good property grab.
But, pretty good reach, 25 metropolitan areas that it reaches, a lot of cities in Texas, like I said, but I think they've spread quite a bit. Still, I think central to East Coast as far as I'm aware. But yeah, it's an interesting move, and I don't really know, like what are they thinking? Like what's kind of the hope? What are they trying to do with Alamo? I don't really know that there's a clear cut answer, but it is kind of interesting to think about this, especially in a time where, I don't know, theaters aren't doing as well as they were pre-COVID, with the exception of certain movies, that are kind of driving interest. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that's just like, I'll just fucking watch it at home. So it's an interesting kind of maneuver, especially for a company like Sony, who doesn't have their own streaming service, right? So there's kind of some things to think about this. And again, I don't have like full answers on like what are they thinking? Like, why are they trying to do this? Why did they do this, or anything like that? But I don't know if you have any thoughts about kind of what this could mean, or
it's one of those things where you don't want, like, for example, if I was a regular at the Drafthouse, I would be concerned that I'm not going to be able to watch all of my favorite movies at the Drafthouse now, because now one particular person owns it. So now I get to see Morbius and Venom.
Right. Is it Sony really wants to promote their own shit, or is it Sony trying to get a cut of, like, maybe if Sony agrees to show Universal movies, WB movies, and stuff like that,
they get paid by other people's stuff?
Right. Do they glean some sort of benefit from that, through exhibiting these movies?
It's like developing Blu-ray.
Yeah.
Right? They make Blu-ray, yeah, and then they can, they're part of the delivery of an experience,
Right. Dip your toes into a few different pots and just try to, generate income wherever you can, maybe. I don't know.
Oh, once again, I was reading the article here, and it sounds like Sony's really trying to diversify the like viewing experiences, right? Like, they have a thing in Chicago where it's all VR, I guess.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
They got like racing simulators and stuff in there, and then they got Wheel of Fortune a live traveling tour, and
they got a Big D type theater maybe they could do. Put the Big D.
Put the Big D
Drafthouse.
in there,
It's already got the D in Drafthouse. All you had to do is just make it even bigger. The big D. Alamo Drafthouse. Big D.
I think
could do that.
We'll see what they do to it. I mean, as somebody that's never been to a Drafthouse, I've heard of Drafthouse, you know what I mean? But as somebody that's never been, obviously it doesn't affect me a whole lot. But I guess, if they're setting the precedents for this kind of thing after Netflix, I'm curious to see what follows, because I mean, AMC famously has struggled, for the past long while, So if you start to end up, if the production companies start to cannibalize on the theaters and stuff, do you have to go to certain theaters to experience certain movies? And what that landscape looks like? That sounds kind of shitty. So I guess we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. I think it's a dangerous precedent, and I'm kind of a fan of that antitrust law where,
Yeah, I think that's probably that's the bad version of things, right? That's where you don't want it to go. I think maybe if you want to look at it more optimistically, it's, hey, big movie studios are investing in theaters, so that means that they have stakes in keeping theaters running
alive
and doing things the
sure.
right way, so that we're not just, resigned to a future where streaming is the only answer. Because as much as I like watching stuff at home, it ain't the same.
No.
As watching it
There's
in a
no
theater,
replacement.
especially a theater where, as long as they keep this policy in place, we'll kick you out for being a fucking douchebag. I want that.
Shared
I want that
experiences
to be
are fun.
Exactly. And there is a certain appeal to that, type of thing. So again, that's the optimistic viewpoint, is maybe this preserves the theater experience for as long as possible, in a world where COVID really, really disrupted things and things haven't gotten quite fully back on track with limited exceptions of, certain movies really, really driving interest in a big, big way. But maybe this could help normalize things if this is kind of a trend of buying back into theaters. But again, we'll see. We'll see what it actually looks like. Are we just getting a Sony Marvel, you want to see a Sony movie, you have to go to a Sony theater. If it does kind of go into that sort of scenario, then it kind of kills you and say, no, I'll fucking wait. I'll wait until it goes on Netflix in a year. Like, fine. Right. That's what it could devolve into, and you don't want that. But we'll see. I think so far they've made some good moves. There were some, I think, Dallas locations that had been shuttered, Alamo Drafthouse locations, and I think Sony's basically been like, we're opening those back up. We're going to rehire anyone that wants to keep their old job.
Yeah, see, that's cool.
Which is cool. Which is good. Yeah. You've got an influx of money. Sony's got money to spend. If they can spend it on fucking Morbius, Madam Web, and Kraven the Hunter, and Venom 1, 2, 3, they can pay some fucking people to sell popcorn, right? So
we'll see where it goes. I mean, it can go.
It can go a number of ways.
It can.
It could move the needle in no significant way, and maybe WB, Universal, Paramount are like, we're not doing that. Fuck that. AMC and Regal are still the top dogs, obviously, and I don't think that's going to change, barring some major deals. You know what I mean? So yeah, this could just be a drop in the bucket at the end of the day. Just a little, testing the waters, see what happens, see if it's financially savvy for companies to do this. So hey, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. Be interesting. I'd like to visit a Drafthouse at some point. Again, I think the closest one for me is New York. For you, I don't know. There might be some in some coastal states.
I think there's
but I don't know where.
There's a similar deal, I think, called the Tampa Picture.
Yeah, right. There's
that.
similar models for sure, but yeah,
not
owned by
Alamo ilk. You know what I mean? They're not of that quality, but
right. All right. Yeah. Well, moving on to our next headline. Which is an interesting one. I can't remember if we've talked about this on the pod at all. I don't know if we have. We might have at some point. So to catch anyone up that hasn't been up to speed on this storyline, Alec Baldwin is an actor some people recognize. He's got a very recognizable face. It looks a little similar to his brothers, the Baldwin brothers. But he was a producer and starring in a movie called Rust, I think a Western movie. And Rust in 2021, they were shooting, and there was this accident, that we'll call it, that happened on set, in which Alec Baldwin was given a revolver that was supposed to be a prop gun with not live rounds in it. And what do you know? It had live rounds in it. He, basically pulled the trigger, and to me, it's not entirely clear of. I don't think it was like while shooting a scene. I think he has maintained that he didn't, he accidentally discharged it or something like that. Either way, regardless of whether he intentionally pulled the trigger, he had no knowledge that there was a live round in that. There was never supposed to be a live round in this prop gun used in a fake movie, so what happened, unfortunately, is the cinematographer, Helena Hutchins, who was working on this fucking movie, was fatally shot. She was killed. And I think the director was also struck as well, by bullet. And so, really, really awful circumstances. And basically, it was kind of pure negligence, I think, if you want to boil it down. It's I've seen a lot of comparisons to the Brandon Lee scenario where, he was shot and killed in the making of The Crow. And I think it's even worse than that. That was really just like a blank kind of getting, I think, stuck and basically getting accidentally discharged. Like that was like a weird freak accident. This was people being stupid. I think overall, where the armorer, basically wasn't doing her job properly, wasn't, checking things. And like there was never a reason for live rounds to ever be introduced on set in the first place to even make its way into a fucking gun that was then handed to an actor who was also a producer, with Alec Baldwin. So anyway, horrible fucking shit show of a situation. To recap that, the armorer, I think, pled guilty to, I think, criminal negligence or some type of charge, and I think Nevada, where it was, I think it was Nevada where it was shooting. New Mexico. One of those fucking states with an N. And so Alec Baldwin had also been charged with manslaughter, and he was actually brought to trial a few weeks ago now. And a lot of it seemed to be some sort of political railroading, like, we're going to come after the Hollywood elites, them liberals and whatever. Like, it kind of felt a little bit like that from the outside looking in, where it's just like,
but he hired somebody to do a job and they didn't.
This is kind of a bonkers case. I think the thing that complicated it is that he was a producer. So, it's a question of, well, does he also ultimately bear responsibility for, having dumb people fucking up on his watch?
Does Remington CEOs get locked up because somebody has a Remington rifle and shoots a school?
Probably not. So I think it was kind of an insane case to bring as someone who obviously practices law and deals with these sorts of things on the regular. In fact,
I forget.
I'm not familiar with New Mexico's, criminal laws or anything like that, but I deal with homicides, manslaughters, and things of these nature in my place of work, shall we say. And to me, I looked at this and I was like, this is a bonkers case to bring. You're not going to fucking win this case. I mean, even taking away the media frenzy and stuff of just, how the hell are you going to find a jury that, isn't going to look at this with some kind of, some weird stance on it. Like, let me find 12 people who don't know who Alec Baldwin is or something. Like, I don't know. I think bringing it to trial was always a mistake. I think on the other hand, if you want to, fucking file some lawsuits against Alec Baldwin, people involved, again, for negligence, some civil suits, I think that's probably fair game, would be my guess. You got a lower standard of proof and everything. I think that you could definitely make some pretty strong cases that there was a lot of negligence happening on this set that led to this tragic, result. But the case just got twistier and twistier. He had tried to get the case dismissed a couple times, didn't happen, and like I said, finally brought it to trial, only for it to turn out the prosecutors being a little shady about certain shit. And they got themselves into some hot water that led to the judge throwing out the case with prejudice, which is to say that Alec Baldwin cannot be tried for this anymore. So it is done. It is a done deal. Basically, the I guess short version of this is basically there were some rounds from an acquaintance of the armorer, which may have been similar to the fatal round that maybe could have this could have been linked to how it ended up on the set. Basically, that was turned over, I think, after the armorer pled guilty to, I think, the police. The police were basically like, what do we do with this? And I think they were instructed, or someone was instructed basically, is this part of the Alec Baldwin case? What do we do with this? And they were told, no, keep it separate. Don't do anything with that. So this information was never disclosed to Alec Baldwin, to his legal team or anything like that. So they never had a chance to find out about any of this until it came to light. When
in the middle of the trial.
Right. And so basically...
Wow.
The long and short of it is, even though this maybe that wasn't intentionally withheld, if this wasn't the prosecutors acting in bad faith, it was close enough to being pretty fucking questionable that to do it this way and to not even just disclose this information, which again, maybe wouldn't have helped his fucking case all that much. Maybe it was just a thing for him to make an argument out of, or it was nothing. But the fact that they decided to kind of just file it separately, not disclose the defense, basically was a violation of their legal duties. Brady v. Maryland, legal duties to disclose this type of evidence, which is potentially exculpatory. And so basically the judge was basically
meaning
like,
that they
you fucked up point blank. Like, this again, maybe it wasn't a make or break thing, but the fact that you handled it this way and didn't disclose this, it looks really, really fucking bad for you. And basically there's nothing that I can do to undo this error. other than to dismiss this case entirely. And again, I don't think he would have been convicted. I think it was a pretty fucking nonsense case in the first place. But the fact that this is how it ultimately was disposed of was just like, how do you fuck up so bad? Like just, I mean, corruption, stupidity, more negligence. I don't know. But just again, nonsense type of things happening with this. And so I don't know if I've fully cogently explained everything that happened with this, but yeah,
it's pretty good.
It's a very interesting, very, very wild situation of how everything unfolded, and at the end of the day, you may call Alec Baldwin, I guess, a winner because he doesn't have to deal with this bullshit anymore. But he was very visibly, I think, reactive to it. I think probably pleased at the end of the day that this is how it happened. But I think the fact that everything that happened leading up to this, I think you could see a lot of emotions from him.
He fucking shot somebody with a gun that wasn't supposed
didn't
to
mean
be
to kill
loaded.
someone, but he killed someone, that he worked with who had a family, and again, just it's the same thing with like Michael Massey on The Crow, and it's like you can't undo that. You can't undo what happened, and it's just something that was preventable. Whether you want to consider it Baldwin's fault or not, at the end of the day, it was preventable by someone, and it was just a lot of bad decisions that led to a very bad thing happening. So I think this is the right end result legally.
Rounds and everything
man,
still being used today.
I think even like the John Wick movies, I think the directors, for director and producer, like we don't use we don't do that shit anymore. Like you don't need to. There's no reason to take unnecessary risks like that. You don't have to do it. Like you can still with how visual effects are these days, you can do everything super convincingly with fake shit. Practical effects.
You can make an incredible prop gun that still makes loud noises and can still give if you want the effect of a gunshot, you should be able to replicate a gunshot with something other than an actual physical gun. You know what I mean? I don't understand it. I mean, but I don't know. We talk about this at work. That's why I kind of have an opinion about it. I think it's a wild thing for sure.
Yeah. I was looking up the John Wick thing, and the director said there's no reason to have a practically functioning gun on a set. To have a live round on a set is criminal. There isn't a gun on our set that you could put a round into that it would be able to fire. So, and he basically all the muzzle flashes in John Wick, and there are many, all
Special
CGI,
effects. Yeah.
And so it's just like, why are you doing it? And like, not everyone's going to have a John Wick type budget or, behind it. This is probably a lower budget-ish, Western movie, indie type movie where, you're cutting corners maybe with shit like this, but just goes to show you don't need to do that. You could print fucking fake cash, for movie sets. You can make fake guns that look pretty convincing, but can't actually fire, that aren't operable. Like safety,
come on,
like don't put people's lives in risk, in jeopardy when you really don't.
What happened to the armor?
She pled guilty. I don't remember what the exact circumstances of her deal were, but I think she got probably some small amount of jail time. I think kind of hard to wiggle your way out of that one. I think she knew she fucked up. I don't know that I guess in terms of this evidence, I don't know. I mean, I guess they could appeal basically saying like, I wouldn't have fucking pled guilty if I knew about this shit. But,
that sucks.
Yeah, I don't know exactly.
Time, it is my humble opinion as a non lawyer that if anybody's negligent, it's the armor should be negligent, and I think they're probably most at fault. I think, in my opinion, it's that person's fucking job to make sure that these things are safe.
Yeah. No. Here we go. 8 days ago, she's trying to get her conviction reversed. She was sentenced 18 months of jail, but in light of this, evidence coming to light, the ruling with Baldwin's case, she's
going to shoot for it. Yeah, you can't blame her.
Basically making the same arguments of, if this is so bad that his case gets dismissed, don't you think it has an impact on ours too? Like, had we known, maybe we would have done things differently. So yeah, we'll see what happens with that. But it's not the worst argument to levy.
No.
At the end of the day, I think that she's absolutely way more culpable than Alec Baldwin ever was, even though he was a producer and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know. Anyway, interesting intersection of podcast and my professional life. Yeah, and the law. So anyway, that's been Law Talk with me. We can move on to our next headline if you're ready.
Let's do it.
All right. Couple, I guess this is kind of a double package, a double deal here. M3gan, lots of M3gan things happening. M3gan 2.0 has started shooting. Okay. All right. Headed for a June 27th, 2025 theatrical release. You fucking stoked for M3gan 2.0?
I clicked the link and I see Jermaine Clement.
Jermaine's going to be an M3gan.
The picture they have in the article is just
He's got a little smirk.
Lovely, like little smirk.
Some nice glasses.
That man's face. I like that man's face.
So indeed, Jermaine Clement has joined the cast of M3gan. I think, Allison Williams, the kid, M3gan's probably back in some way. Ivano Sakno, who played the apprentice, Balin's apprentice on Ahsoka, she's in it as well. I forgot the character's name. Shinhati. She's going to be in it. And, same director's back, Gerard Johnston. Same screenwriter. So, all the components, plus a Jermaine and some other guys, M3gan 2.0, 2025. What do you think? You excited?
Yeah, I'm really excited.
Ready to revisit M3gan.
I really liked M3gan.
It was good. I haven't watched they put out an unrated one, which I think was a little bloodier and a little meaner and nastier and stuff. I didn't think it needed it.
I think I watched that one, I think.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. Because I think it was PG-13 in the theatrical release. Like, it was
definitely watched the unrated one then, if it was PG-13.
Okay, yeah. Could be wrong. I think it was PG-13 though, because I feel like that was a thing. But I think it was just
one of the most creative horror movies.
Parts where it would get pretty gnarly and bloody. It cut away in the PG-13, and then it kind of held the shot longer for an R-rated version. So anyway, M3gan 2.0, it's happening. But that's not all. We are getting an expansion of the M3gan universe with Soulmate with an 8. Soulmate
cashing it, making money, baby. They're printing money.
Soulmate. How are we doing this? Soulmate. Something like that. We are getting another movie in the M3gan universe with a new technological twist. It is billed as a 1990s erotic thriller in which a man acquires an artificially intelligent android to cope with the loss of his recently deceased wife. Hey, that sounds a little bit like a reverse Black Mirror. In an attempt to create a truly sentient partner, he inadvertently turns a harmless love bot into ... a deadly soulmate. We're getting Soulmate as well. I think different crew on this one. Different writer, different director. Story by James Wan and others. Heading to theaters January 2nd, 2026. So we'll have like a 6-month span of M3gan and Soulmate. It's like Matrix Reloaded and Revolution. Is that whatever it was called? He didn't have the long wait, between them. So, M3gan universe franchise, full steam ahead. Pretty pumped. Sounds ridiculous, which is what M3gan was. And, I think it could be pretty fun. What do you think?
I'm right there with you. Very excited. Did you happen to see a trailer in front of Longlegs that has to do with like they're placing all the little cameras and stuff around the house?
Placing all the cameras.
There's like little cameras, and there's an AI that sees all the cameras, and the AI does stuff.
I don't think so. My Longlegs had a 30-minute trailer reel for some reason.
Yeah, so did mine.
It was literally 30 minutes. I got Trap. I got a couple things that we'll talk about shortly.
We'll keep going. I'll look it up while we keep going.
All right, let me know. Yeah, it's not ringing any bells, but I did get some like other horror movies that I had definitely never seen trailers for, but I'm blanking on anything else right now. But
it's called Afraid.
What's it called?
Afraid.
Afraid.
But Afraid.
Okay.
has AI italicized.
Okay, all right. I don't think it might have been attached, but I did not see this trailer.
Well, just when you
should I check it out? Was it intriguing? Did it look good, or is it
when you told me before I clicked on the link and stuff, when you told me that they're expanding the M3 universe,
you thought this was
I thought this was it. Yeah.
Well, maybe it's a real split situation where it's backdoored its way into the M3 universe, but it's a surprise. No one's supposed to know yet.
This is a Sony thing. So, anyways.
This is Sony's attempt to make an M3.
The first trailer of Blumhouse is Afraid makes it look like a spiritual remake of a Disney Channel sci-fi classic. What the fuck sci-fi classic is that? Anyways,
I don't know which one that is.
Don't let me drag us into the weeds. You keep going, dude.
All right. Well, I just wanted to ask you one question. You remember a show by the name of Legion?
Most definitely, yes.
Did you like that show?
I like that show a whole lot.
All right. Well, that show was created by Noah Hawley, who, as it happens, is working on an upcoming series for FX, which is based in the Alien franchise, in the Alien universe. And
what?
We know the title for it now. We know a little bit about it, so I wanted to see if this was anything that was interesting to you.
Fucking FX, dude. They got it going on.
FX, man. Yeah. Shogun. That was just so
Legion.
good. Just think about it, Legion.
Atlanta.
Yeah,
I never saw Atlanta.
Atlanta's good. I haven't seen all of it, but what I have seen is very good. FX is pretty good. They got
some bangers, dude.
They got some bangers, that's for sure. But maybe they have another one up their sleeve. We'll see. This show is called Alien: Earth. All right. Okay. Well, just wrapped production. It's getting into post-production territory, visual effects work and stuff like that.
Okay.
It is an Alien series, which serves as a prequel to the original Alien. I believe it is. I think it takes place a few decades before the events, before the Nostromo and all that stuff. 3 decades before the events of the 1979 film Alien. It does appear to take place on Earth. Unclear how it turns into an Alien series if as a result of that, but I guess it's possible that the alien creature ends up on Earth at some point. But it's already being viewed as a multi-season type thing. Like I said, Noah Hawley is the showrunner on this. So yeah, what do you think? Timothy Olyphant's in it. He's no stranger to FX. So it's got synths in it and stuff. So it seems to be full on alien shit.
Fuck yeah, man.
But a little bit of a different setting, different era, different time period and stuff like that. But yeah, what do you think? Alien Earth.
I want to preface this with I actually dreamt about Alien last night. I had a couple of espressos a couple hours before bed. Bad idea.
Stirred up your imagination a little too much.
It did. I had some wonky alien dream. I mean, if the movie is half of what I thought I was seeing in my dream, because I was dreaming.
You got to write this down. We can make it into a screenplay.
Yeah, it's like, oh man, if we get anything, then I'm game. It's gonna be awesome. But side note, not a side note. I mean, referring to this FX Alien show.
Sure.
I think in Prometheus, or maybe it's Alien vs. Predator. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah.
There was a lot of references to Alien, or there was a reference to Alien, and then sending out the ship to go. You know what I mean? To explore it, because they were looking for Alien. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or the Xenomorphs, or something like that. I can't quite remember. There's been a lot, but I don't know. Is this just going to be like a sci-fi deal, or is this going to be sci-fi horror? I mean, surely it's a horror movie, right? Or a horror show?
I'm sure it's got to. I mean, I feel like everything Alien has at least had.
Like it's got to be sorts of.
I mean, like even Aliens, which is obviously I think maybe an action movie
but
first.
It's still
and foremost.
Horror. It's still action. Horror.
It's like an action horror movie. Yeah, exactly. So
I mean, if I don't know how it would be a prequel unless. I mean, it's like what is it the what's the name of the company?
Oh, Wayland.
Yes.
That's
them like covering something up or something like that. That's why, which I think has been like a perpetual theme throughout all the stuff. They try to cover this shit up. They really want the alien for whatever their means are, but they're always covering it up. So maybe that's what it is.
Wikipedia calls it a science fiction horror, so I think you're good. I mean, anyone can edit that. Doesn't mean anything, but it's a fucking alien show. It's got to be.
Day one, 110% in. The only alien, fun fact, the only alien movie that I've never seen is the one with Michael Fassbender fingering the flute or whatever.
I'll do the fingering.
I haven't seen that one.
Alien Covenant's a real classic.
Never saw it. I've seen all of them except that one.
It's
I'll have to do it one day just to complete the saga.
Just to do it, huh? Yeah, I don't know if I'd recommend it necessarily, but you got some free time. You do you. Ridley Scott is executive producing Alien Earth. I don't think he's very involved otherwise, but he's always got to have his fingers in the alien pot, somewhere. He's involved somehow. So,
well, legally that means he's responsible for every fucking thing.
Yeah, sure.
Apparently,
Apparently, well, at least in New Mexico, that's what it means. So,
sorry, salty. The Alien's a fabulous series,
isn't it? Do you want to talk about something else alien related while we're here?
Yeah. What do we got?
If you want, it's up to you. I thought it might be nice to just kind of bleed right into trailers since we've got an official trailer for Alien Romulus to talk about.
Stop it.
Produced by Ridley Scott, not executive produced. I think he's a little more involved with this one, but he ain't directing this shit. He can't ruin it the way he did with Covenant and to some extent Prometheus.
I would like to
had some real
point
dumb shit in it. Let's be honest.
To the opening shot of this trailer.
All right, I am going to
raining
take a peek
through the blind through the blinds,
the shutters, blinds. Sure.
Blade Runner. It's totally fucking Blade Runner on Alien Earth.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
Totally Blade Runner here. It's dystopian. The people are upset. They're like, hey, fuck this place. The spaceship going up into the sky. Totally Blade Runner. And they're like, okay, I'm out of here. We're leaving, and we're gonna go to this alien ship. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And this movie, I can't think of a better director.
It does feel like a director especially well suited to particularly doing like a very horror tinged version of Alien, which again, the Alien franchise has kind of oscillated, started very much as straight horror, bled into action, maybe, I don't know how you'd classify Alien Cubed. Interesting, space
That's the prison one, right?
Thing. Yeah. Resurrection gets a little more sci-fi with things, and, so it's kind of been all over the map. But if you're trying to bring Alien back to its like true horror roots, Fede Alvarez is definitely someone who I think has got the chops for this.
I hope he directs the next one. Okay. And, he's just, look at the mood in like the first 8 seconds of the trailer. It's
for those not in the know, this is who directed the 2013 Evil Dead reboot as well as Don't Breathe 2016, and hasn't directed a whole lot. Girl in the Spider's Web, which was the Claire Foy, dragon tattoo pseudo sequel type thing. But this is the first thing he's directed in 6 years since then. And the first horror movie since Don't Breathe.
If this trailer's any indication, he's got his fucking heart in it. I
think so. It's one of those things. Like if you get to sink your teeth into like a beloved franchise and leave your stamp on it, like that's something people dream about, right? Like I get to play in the sandbox a little bit, and maybe Ridley's talking in my ear a little bit, saying, "Hey, maybe you should do this," and you're like, "All right, Ridley said that. Let's do it a different way. He's an old fuck. He doesn't know what he's doing most of the time, so we're gonna not do that. Just tell him we did it though, because he's a producer, so you gotta say yes." Yeah, I think particularly the body horror aspects of Alien, the face huggers, the implantation. You
literally picked my next thing.
Chest bursting. Like this guy is gonna give us some fucking gnarly shit, and it's gonna make you wince. When you're watching this movie, and I think it's gonna be particularly brutal. I mean, even the poster that I'm looking at on the Wikipedia page, it ain't showing a xenomorph. It's showing a fucking face hugger latched around a face. You know what I mean? Like I think that's gonna be a big feature of this movie, is how grotesque this shit can really be. you know. And I think, you know, you hit on the Blade Runner stuff, like the setting and everything. It's like a space colony type thing. I think it could be really cool. But speaking particularly about this trailer, good trailer.
Dude, it's
well
a
edited,
bomb
stylish.
trailer.
And what is it? In space, no one can hear you, alien. It's kind of weirdly cut, but
they recapture that. They recapture that Ridley scene where she's like,
right?
You know, she's
right.
Oh man,
I'm a sucker for a title forming and a bunch of shit is going on, or you know, like just like a really stylish title reveal is pretty cool.
Oh yeah.
I just think this is good. I'll actually note there's a final trailer that came out more recently that I almost put in place of this. But I didn't watch it, and I scrolled down to the YouTube comments. It's like, thanks 20th Century for saving my money since I've now seen the movie. And I'm like, all right, we're not going to do that. This one feels like, even though it's official trailer, it feels more teasery. Like I'm getting a feel for this movie without knowing the story of this movie fully. Right?
What a terrible comment. Like I see it right here. I kind of want to click it, but then
yeah, and and apparently it's just. It's one of those things that like there's trailers these days that just give you act 1 in the first 30 seconds, and then they give you act 2, and then they give you the final shot of the movie, and you're like, well, what the fuck are we doing here? Like, are you so desperate for people to see your movie that you have to like give them the mini version of it so there's no surprises? Like, I don't know. I hate that shit. Like sell me on the fucking vibe.
Poor marketing.
I will say a movie we're talking about today concealed a lot. It concealed a good amount of things. We'll talk about whether, that's good or not, but it fucking got our interest. You know what I mean? Like it got us to a theater to the point of watching it, now recording on it. You know what I mean? So, and this is the Alien Romulus official trailer, I think is an effective trailer of, I want to see this fucking movie based on this trailer. I want to go to see this movie on August 16th, when it comes out.
If he does not do the next Alien, he at least needs to move over to Dead Space.
Oh, that'd be a good fit. You can kind of do the same thing, but again, play in a different sandbox. Get even more gross with it. Ridley Scott doesn't have to produce that one, so you can do what you want.
This movie looks terrifying. I could not be more excited about the whole thing. It really feels like it feels like a modernized Alien. And Alien for me is it's got to be one of my favorite movies. I don't know if I talked about it in like our favorite movies, but Alien is got to be way up there.
It's a top tier horror movie at a minimum.
For sure. Absolutely. It's like the perfect blend of horror and sci-fi and all that shit. It's so good.
If we had a little bit more free time and stuff, Alien bonus episode, let's do it. I think we did Predator. I think we did the AVP movies, I think, as part of that, but way back in the day.
Yeah, but we don't have... Yeah, I mean, this is August. This is an August release.
Right, this is a few weeks away. We don't really have time. But I wouldn't mind rewatching at least the first Alien before this one. This is a mid-cool. This is between the events of Alien and Aliens. I don't think it's, like, super connected. I think that's just where...
it's between Alien and Aliens?
In terms of the timeline, that's where it's apparently set, yeah.
Oh, I thought... For some reason, I thought it was... The whole time, I thought it was a prequel. I thought it took place after Prometheus.
Well...
I don't know.
It does technically take place after Prometheus, but it's a mid-cool. It's a mid-cool, upcoming mid-cool. So Alien Romulus. I think sounds like we're both on board.
Very stoked.
I think we can earmark this one as one. I think that will get us in a theater. I think at some point. I definitely want to see it. I want to spend my 2 hours in a theater. Just taking something like this, and I'm excited about that. So in mid-August, you will probably find me. Moving house, but also in a theater. Probably not at the same time. As a break from moving house, perhaps. So, all right. Any final thoughts for you on Alien Romulus? Ready to move on to our next trailer? All right. Our next trailer is another project from Neon, who also brought us Longlegs. Just to be clear, called Cuckoo. Which we have an official trailer too, which I don't think tells the whole movie. So, and this one just came out. The trailer just came out for it. Another Neon horror movie. I got the trailer for this in front of Longlegs. I don't know if you did as well.
I. Yes.
And it wasn't really on my radar until then, I'll say. But it put it on my radar a little bit. Good cast, good core trio cast here. Hunter Schafer, Dan Stevens, Mr. Legion himself, to make that connection as well, and Jessica Hennick. And it's one of those like We never actually, I don't think we actually watched it, but I saw the TV glow. Remember when we talked about that trailer? I think it's just like a kind of out of nowhere sort of thing. And I like a lot of these like indie horror-y type thing, or like, like kind of, I guess just indie movies. Like half the trailer are just pull quotes of being like fucking ridiculous, bloodbath, blood-soaked fun, just like fucking, this is crazy shit, man. Increasingly twisted, incredibly strange, and deviously fun, deliciously twisted. Just shit like that. Half the trailer is just shit like that. I'm like, all right, I'm in.
It doesn't take much. It's cool.
Sometimes it works. You know what I mean? Like, all right, I want to see what a little bit about what the movie's about, what the visuals are like, and and who's in it and all that stuff. But you give me some fucking a grab bag of fucking pull quotes talking about how insane it is. I'm like, all right. Maybe it's worth a watch. So what do you think? Are you interested in Cuckoo?
Yeah, I think this looks creative. It looks well shot. I like Legion. I like that German guy too. He seems like the cop guy, the copper.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
He seems pretty cool. The main character here, the chick, seems pretty cool. I don't know her name. I'm trying to scrub to find out.
Hunter Schafer, I think mostly known from Euphoria, which I think you watched at least. I did.
She's like I watched the first season. She was very much a main character.
Jules.
Yeah,
Jules
she was
Euphoria.
awesome in Euphoria.
She's also in Hunger Games: The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes.
I don't know anything about that.
Talked about that, but she's in it. So there you go.
But you have Legion playing a flute into the darkness for some reason.
He looks like he's doing a real thing, where he's relishing his role.
Yeah,
Mr. Dan
looks
Stevens.
Cool. I'm all here for this. I don't know what it's about, but it looks.
Again, I don't need to know everything about what it's about. Just get me in the fucking door.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Pull quotes. That's all I
don't tell me the whole movie. I don't want to know the whole movie before I go in. It's not fun that way. It's not as fun that way.
No,
so
I think it's important though to add the caveat. I think you just need to advertise the movie correctly.
Yes,
I mean?
Don't mislead us.
The mood of the film,
the vibe.
Yes,
don't bait and switch of. A whole trailer has I don't know if you remember, I think there was a lawsuit for the movie Yesterday because Ana de Armas appeared in the trailer and she got cut from the final movie, and so someone sued because it was, false advertising. It's like, all right, it's a little extreme. But if I watch this movie and, Hunter Schafer, Dan Stevens, and Jessica Hennick got killed within the first 5 minutes and the subsequent hour and a half is about some something else entirely, I might be a little upset about that, right? So the first 2 minutes are just the trailer, and then it's just a completely different thing, for an hour and a half after that, like that.
Like it was a trailer.
I don't want that. You're right.
Within a movie.
Exactly. Yeah. It's like the Grindhouse. It's just a Grindhouse trailer, and the rest is, we got fucking Planet
Could you
Terror.
imagine everybody be so pissed?
Yeah. So as long as it's not that, as long as it, sell me on what it is, what it could be, the promise of what it could be, a vague general premise, and that's usually enough to get my foot in the door, and if it's something that clicks with me, and we'll see if I respond to it, in terms of the full product. So August 9th, just a week before Alien Romulus, is when we're getting Cuckoo. So another one that could be worth a feeder trek potentially. Got a lot of stuff coming out around this time, so we'll see. But if nothing else, I do want to watch this at some point, I'll say. So it's definitely on my list of things to get around to. What may not make my list of things to catch right away, but maybe you'll feel differently, is yet another fucking Hellboy movie. Hellboy, the Crooked Man. We received an official teaser for this not fan film, although it may have the appearance of one.
That's fair. It's a fair criticism.
It's coming from Catch Up Entertainment, which we all know is a good sign of quality. But it's another attempt at Hellboy. This is separate from the Del Toro Ron Perlman. This is separate from that god fucking awful David Harbour one, which is good. Definitely shy away from that one. The makeup work was fine there. The rest of the movie, fucking horrendous. So bad. Lower budget, maybe somewhat supposed to be more comic accurate in terms of tone, feel, blah, blah, blah for Hellboy. with Mike Mignola more heavily involved, the creator of Hellboy. New Hellboy, Jack Casey, who I think I've only seen in Deadpool 2, where he played Black Tom Cassidy. He was like one of the guys in prison with the dreads. Taking over the role. Quick teaser here. I think I think if nothing else, this does not tell you the whole story. Very much gives you the vibe of what this is. Gives you a good look at Hellboy's design, and everything. So bearing all that in mind, did this do anything for you? Intrigue you?
I have a couple criticisms. I think
right.
I think personally, I feel like this is a Constantine movie before it's a Hellboy movie.
Yeah, sure.
But I think that the Hellboy as investigator, which is kind of the vibe I'm getting here.
Yeah.
My criticism is Hellboy doesn't seem gruff enough. Like his I just kind of feel like he's
Kinda just looks like a
softish.
dude.
Yeah, he just kind of looks like a dude. Yeah. He doesn't have like he's not like grumbly and shit, Like he needs to put some Christian Bale in that voice or some Hardy maybe,
Okay. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I think that it feels to me very it feels heavy-handed in the stylization.
But like the color grading.
Yeah, the color grading seems very washed out.
Yeah, like it didn't look good. Like I think it is maybe trying to cover up the lack of budget, but I think just makes it look ugly.
Yeah,
it's like it's not pleasant to look at, and not in a oh god face huggers disgusting sort of, just in like a ugh. It's just
what I would hope is
it's not aesthetically pleasing, and 3 out of 4 trailers are, and this one is not. You know what I mean? The next one maybe is a star example, but
I've caught a handful of movies from Millennium Entertainment that are or Millennium Media that are stylized this way, but they're kind of like thought invoking, Like they're. Okay. I'm not going to tell you that they're Emmy award winning or not Emmy award winning movies, but Oscar
any sort of award winning.
Yeah, Oscar winning movies or anything, but it's almost like, somebody was passionate about a thing and they made this movie and everything else, and it's thought evoking, and it's a passion project.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that this is it. I think it could be it, though. I think it looks interesting. I think that I don't know.
Yeah, I think it's ugly and it looks cheap is probably my biggest criticism of it.
For sure.
But I think the actual idea of it, the story of it, like could be fine. You know what I mean? Like it could be. Like, I think there's a very legitimate chance this is better than the last fucking Hellboy movie we got.
Absolutely.
Which is an exceptionally low bar, but I think by making it smaller scale, just kind of like a mystery or something like that, that might lend itself to being just a better movie overall,
But a piece of me really
experience.
just wants it to be Constantine.
I definitely feel, right, this could be, I do agree, like you could just have, we probably save some budget by not having a fucking guy in a Hellboy suit, the trench coat is basically the same, so just get rid of the fucking devil guy and put some British fuck with a cigarette in there and call it a day,
Yeah.
But just get Matt Ryan to do it. I'm sure he'd come back in a heartbeat.
He was perfect, dude. He was so good.
So yeah, I mean,
anyways, one
looks
thing
like a
that
TV
I
show,
would,
so.
if the creators of this trailer, are
Catch up
avid
entertainment.
listeners to our podcast, don't force me to read your fucking subtitles. Okay?
Yeah, that was kind of, it's a little.
Don't do that. This isn't TikTok. Okay?
But they only did it in one format, so they could just put it everywhere all at once. They didn't have to do different versions.
That's the most egregious thing. That's probably the first trailer they make, and they obviously watch TikTok, so we gotta put fucking subtitles in there.
Yeah, half the people are watching this trailer without sound on, so they just want to read the trailer.
God damn it, man! What's wrong with people? Anyways,
I will say, I think actually, if I watch this trailer without listening to it, it might actually look better because the voice doesn't really do anything, but it's like, all right, I mean, this man speaks through subtitle.
Sounds like a dude. How do you know that? Dark things call to dark things. Yeah, maybe. If you do watch it in silence.
We'll see what happens with Hellboy, the Crooked Man. I think it's got a release date relatively soon.
Probably August.
Probably August. It doesn't look like it has actually a set date, but I would guess this is not a movie that, it's probably pretty much ready to go whenever they're ready to get it out there. So I would guess September, October would kind of be my rough guess, but hell, yeah, maybe fucking August. Throw it in August. It's rated R. It is rated R. That came out recently. Violent content, language, and nudity. Hell dong. Hell dong confirmed.
Hell dong.
Hey, so whenever it does come out, we'll see what happens. We'll, maybe we'll catch it. Maybe we won't. Maybe it'll be really good. Maybe it'll be fine. Maybe it'll be shit. You never know. You never know with these things. But one thing that we might be able to bank on is Robert Eggers doing something pretty fucking bonkers and pretty fucking interesting and being pretty fucking bold. So bold as to remake a classic fucking movie that's 100 years old, and making the brilliant fucking decision, if I may say so myself, of relying on Willem Dafoe to narrate the shit or deliver the shit out of some dialogue in a teaser trailer for a movie called Nosferatu. We are dealing with the vampire Nosferatu. and to release it on Christ's birthday. Yeah,
of all days,
bold. December 25th. Nosferatu.
Very bold, very bold, sir.
Very bold. I don't think it's gonna make a lot of money, but fucking bet your bottom dollar. Sorry, Anna. Sorry, whoever I'm spending time on Christmas with. I know this new home is great, and we really want to, have a nice Christmas in our nice new home, but I gotta go see Nosferatu. I'm sorry. Sorry, baby B. Sorry, Sarah. Actually, I have to go see Nosferatu.
To go watch this.
Sorry, Jesus. I got things to do.
Jesus, exactly right.
You don't mind if I take a couple hours, right? There's 24 hours in a day. Don't be fucking selfish. Give me two, you son of a bitch. Yeah. So, are you pretty excited about Nosferatu? What are you thinking?
Yeah. I'm real excited.
It feels like your shit.
I think Eggers has to be probably. I mean, he's got to be up there for one of my favorite directors. I mean, everything he touches is just. He just has I don't know. He's just got the sense of style.
Totally. The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Northman, Nosferatu. That's short but pretty impressive resume.
He's an auteur. He's a Tarantino. But just he's not dialogue driven like Tarantino. He's just got, as the kids say these days, he's got drip. You know what I mean? And
sure.
Yeah,
got some real riz. Was that a thing? Riz is a thing. Yeah. I don't know if that's helpful for movie making, but he's got it. He's got it in spades.
He's got it.
Kids probably don't say in spades, so I fucked up. But
Are we talking about Nosferatu? Or are we talking about Dracula here? Because this trailer kind of gives me vibes of Dracula.
Well, I think,
or maybe this story is one of the same.
Yeah, I think that the original Nosferatu is, at the very least, inspired or a loose adaptation of the original novel of Dracula. Okay. With Dracula is not he's not called Dracula. I think he's Count Orlok and the original Nosferatu. And I think I've seen the original once, and it was sort of not fully engaged in it, sort of watching it. It's a 1922 silent movie. It's very different from what we're getting here. It's an old fucking movie. It's fucking old, man. It's older than I am. That's crazy. But yeah, I think that it is basically Dracula. Yeah. So that's not an unfounded thing to say. I don't think it's a straight adaptation. It's definitely, but at the end of the day, you're gonna see some parallels there because it's kind of doing a very similar thing. Yeah.
I think it looks wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like how it goes back and forth between black and white and everything else,
Yep. Visually. Yeah, I did. I don't know why I had it in my head. And I was like, for some reason, I was just imagining this movie in black and white. I guess probably because of the original. I'm like, oh yeah. If you're going to do a modern remake version of it, maybe throw a little color in there. You don't have to throw all the color in there. Like you said, it's a good
night.
mix.
It's black and white, Right.
Yeah. And it's not, I wouldn't say it's a colorful movie at the same time either. It's still very much within Egger's visual style, for sure, but very striking. The shot of the fucking, hand and stuff going over the city is fucking awesome.
It looks, it's almost, Northman was like a primal violent kind of hype. This year is going to be a good year for horror, dude. We got Alien, Romulus. We got this. I think that this looks like it's striking like the right balance of the occult, but being stylish and just being like classic. And I don't know. I couldn't be more hyped about it. Plus, it's got William fucking Dafoe, and it seems like he's playing like a major role.
Yeah. It's like. I don't think he was in The Witch, right? I don't think he was in that.
I don't think so.
I don't think so. But he put him in the lighthouse. Once the rapport was established, it's like,
yes,
you have to be in everything that I make, and he's such a fucking perfect fit. And like everything, like Lighthouse, Northman, he was fucking crazy,
like a shaman or something,
kooky fucking shaman or whatever. In that, here, it just
I guess
just
he's
feels so at home.
In this, isn't he?
Is he? Let's take a quick peek. Professor von Franz. I don't know, but maybe that's a riff on Van Helsing, potentially, because it's it's Dracula, but we changed the names, kind of thing, perhaps. Right. I don't know, but either way, he's so at home in this, so fucking perfect. Bill Skarsgård is playing Count Orlok Nosferatu, and we see glimpses, but no full reveals here. Again, this is a teaser. It's a proper teaser, giving you just a taste. And I'm sure we'll get another trailer, and hopefully a trailer that doesn't reveal the whole goddamn movie. But if this is all I see, I probably didn't need to see the teaser anyway. The promise of Robert Eggers doing a Nosferatu was too tantalizing to ignore. But this gives confidence, of like, oh yeah.
And it's been years since his last movie, right?
A couple of years at least. Yeah, Northman, whenever that was. We covered
He's another one. He's another one that just doesn't pump out movies.
Yeah, I think he writes and directs pretty much everything he's done, so it's like, find the time, put the time in, make it the way you want to make it. Now he's done it enough times that like he can, I don't know if they're throwing fucking $100 million at him to make a movie like this. That's probably a dumb idea if they are, but I respect it at the same time.
I respect him. Right. Give that man all the money.
But yeah, just let him fucking make his thing. Give him some money, maybe not $100 million, but some money, and just fucking cut him loose. Like that's the way to let Robert Eggers and people of his ilk just operate, is do your fucking thing. Like, we know you'll make something interesting. We'll know you'll make something, compelling. Maybe not for everyone, but
it doesn't have to be either, though. It
doesn't have to be.
That's the nice thing.
It doesn't have to be. A movie called Nosferatu should not appeal to everyone. There are people that are not going to be interested in this movie, and that's just fine, because you know what? Andrew and I fucking care. We're interested.
There's going to be people that, this is movie of the year,
potentially. And Jesus might even recognize it.
Jesus would probably disagree.
We might. You never know. Anyway,
release it on fucking Christmas. What the fuck's wrong with you, dude?
Was that blasphemous for me to say? Is it no more blasphemous than Nosferatu being released?
No, right. Robert
Day,
Eggers did it.
This is counter programming at its finest. I don't know what the hell else is coming out on Christmas this year, but I guarantee there's probably something a little more family friendly. But I ain't watching that. I'm watching Nosferatu, the vampire. All right, so there we have it. Trailers, headlines, in memoriam, complete. All in the bag. We got a movie to talk about, though.
What do we got?
Got a movie called Longlegs to talk about.
Let's talk Longlegs, dude. What a movie.
So, Longlegs. Yeah, let's talk about Longlegs. It is in theaters now. Written and directed by someone I talked about already, Osgood Perkins. Stars Micah Monroe, Nicolas Cage, Blair Underwood, and Alicia Witt. In pursuit of a serial killer, an FBI agent uncovers a series of occult clues that she must solve to end his terrifying killing spree. Alluded to this a little bit, but you want to do a box office breakdown and talk about how Longlegs is doing?
Yeah, let's talk about it.
All right. I might need some help before I do anything here. I don't know.
You didn't memorize it?
Well, I just Usually there's some sort of cue that signifies that we're in the box office break. Oh, there it is.
Box office.
Box office breakdown. It's a little Nicolas Cage for you there.
It was perfect.
So Longlegs did very, very well. Was a smash success for Neon, the film's distributor. Opened in 2,500 screens and scored $22 million in its opening weekend.
Wow, that's significant.
Which is big for a rated R horror movie. Definitely a big success in terms of just generally for what it is, particularly for Neon. Its highest opener previously was Immaculate, the Sydney Sweeney horror movie, which started with $5 million. So it quadrupled its previous high as a distributor, which is pretty impressive. And so yeah, it really impressed in its opening weekend. It has been out for a couple weekends now. It dropped 46% in the second weekend, which is pretty good. Suggests it has pretty good legs, pretty long legs, perhaps. Yeah, no, big success. I think I sent it to you before we had seen it, or around the time that we were seeing this in theaters. They put out a very fun little poster saying this was the number one movie in America. And then in small text underneath it, there was an asterisk saying, except for Despicable Me 4, which was in fact the number one movie. But very different audiences for these movies, you might expect. And so Despicable Me did technically make more money in its opening weekend, but we don't really care about that. We don't subscribe to those sorts of facts. So yeah, Longlegs doing very, very well. Over $56 million worldwide through basically the 2 weeks that it's been open, mostly coming from US, Canada, North America. But yeah, no, great opener, great opening for it. Best opening for Micah Monroe. First Cage movie to open above $20 million in over a decade. So certainly in terms of the box office,
everybody's happy.
It's found some people definitely interested in it. So huge success story for Neon for sure. But in terms of the movie itself, that's what we're really here to talk about now. So, we talked about a lot, the marketing I think was very, very effective for Longlegs. Definitely got us kind of hooked and interested and,
for sure.
and persuaded us to see it in a theater. And maybe I should start there. I saw it alone in a theater, but I think you may have had a different experience.
I did. So I had one Sarah Meadows accompany me to the movie theater, which is a rare occasion. She knew that I was excited about this movie. She did not look up any trailers for this movie, and she went to watch it with me.
That's bold. I mean, that's commitment.
That's a pretty bold thing.
Down yourself a keeper.
Yeah, I was pretty surprised. And should I just go ahead and segue? Are we segueing right into like general thoughts?
Let's do it. Non-spoilers.
All right, so non-spoilers.
You can share hers. You can share yours.
I'll start with Sarah's.
All right.
Sarah is a general movie viewer. She has a type of movie that she gravitates towards. This is typically not one of those movies.
Probably not. I mean, horror as a genre, her thing at all.
Yeah, I mean, like she enjoyed Intriguing.
Okay, yeah, sure.
But what I'll tell you, what her opinion about this movie is, she did not feel anything. She was not entertained. She didn't hate it. She didn't love it.
Okay.
It was just blah.
She's seen worse. She's seen better.
That's right.
All right. Forgettable, maybe.
It's not
or at
her
least just not
movie.
impactful.
Right.
Okay. All right.
So that's her opinion of this movie.
Okay.
I think that this movie is...
Early Listener's Corner.
Yeah.
Love it. What about you? What do you think?
I think this movie shot really well.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the score for this movie. I enjoyed the soundtrack of this movie. I enjoyed the acting of this movie.
Okay.
But I enjoyed the color grading, and the editing. I think the cinematography is probably one of my favorite things about this movie. I did not get what I was expecting.
Okay.
I was expecting a Silence of the Lambs-esque movie, maybe a Zodiac-esque movie, but maybe with like 7. a little bit more like, just a little bit more flair, Mm-hmm. It's not what I got. And it's not that I just think that this movie could have taken different turns for the better. Maybe that's because I have a bias and that's what I was expecting. I don't know. We'll talk about it. But I don't think this movie is the sum of all its parts. I think it's well made. I think it's well crafted. The biggest issues I have are with the story of the film. The direction that it chooses to go in.
Yes. Okay. And the particulars of which we will certainly discuss in spoilers.
Exactly. Yeah. So my biggest problem is the direction that it goes in. I think it could have been. I think it would have been scarier to go in the areas that I was expecting it to go in than where it went. Right. And so, but I do think it's expertly crafted. I think it was well shot. I think that a lot of effort went into making it. I think that, like I said, I think the best way to describe it is I don't think it's the sum of all its pieces, and it didn't quite land where I anticipated it landing. So that's what I got. What about you? What do you think about this movie?
Hard for me to disagree on anything. I think the vibes of this movie are fucking immaculate. This. It's a super fucking, I don't know what the right word is. I don't know, just interesting. There's another word that I'm searching for. Maybe I'll arrive at eventually. I'm not sure, but this, it's a period piece. I think it's like late 90s or something, or sometime in the 90s, I guess. Just the vibes of this, just, the way that it sets up this world is just so compelling, so interesting.
The way it captures it is awesome.
Yeah, and it kind of transports you to somewhere different, and the whole film itself is just, it's like an unsettling film. Like, it's got, just the cinematography does this to great effect, where there's moments where you're just seeing through windows, and it just feels like any given moment someone might be there, or something might be there, and it's just like every shot has the composition of it is just interesting, and the kind of movie that you're looking around the frame because you're like, am I supposed to be seeing something here? Am I missing something here? What's going on here? And so, like, as a viewing experience, this is a kind of movie where I was like sucked in. Like, I was fucking
don't blink,
knee deep. I was super into it. Really, really fascinated by all of it. I thought the characters were like interestingly drawn. Like, our lead is kind of a aloof, awkward, person who isn't terribly sociable, but is kind of interesting to follow because she's clearly got some sort of intuition, about her that serves her well as an FBI agent. You have a Nicolas Cage performance in here, which is, we'll talk more in spoilers, but it goes full Nick Cage at times, and I think it works for the movie. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I like, there's so many components of this movie that I really, 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 really liked. But I have the same reservation of, I think the story kind of loses me at a certain point. I think it's maybe a tale of two halves or something like this, where it's like the setup is incredible and very much feels like it's evoking those kind of touchstones that you mentioned, the Silence of the Lambs,
True Detective,
Zodiac, 7, True Detective. And the payoff feels more like other horror movies that we've seen, a dime a dozen types of horror movies that we've seen that aren't really our cup of tea, if that makes sense, So, I kind of was left with a little bit of frustration, I'll say, by not being wholly satisfied by it. I wasn't mad about it. I guess, you know, is it a failure of marketing? Is it misleading in some ways? I don't know. I'd be curious to revisit this movie, and I'm not going to see it in the theater again, but I'd be curious to revisit this movie with a different frame of mind, you know, expecting things to go in a different direction than I, you know, maybe wanted or anticipated walking in the theater.
Yeah.
But on the whole, I still liked it pretty well. I think overall, you know, I think that despite my, again, frustrations, reservations, whatever you want to classify it as, I felt like there's still so much to like in this movie. I just wish I wish more than anything that it actually, you know, managed to I guess get across the finishing line for me, across the finish line or something. It just never quite.
It's more
gelled
than
the way
your,
that I hoped it would.
It's more than your, like, not that it's, I guess, bad, but I guess like I immediately think of like what James Wan. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Like what movies does he make? He makes. I know he did the like Netflix stuff,
like,
but.
Yeah, like Insidious, Conjuring, stuff like that.
Yeah, just like your typical movie that comes out every year. It's more than that.
Yeah, it is, but it's closer to that than you want it to
ends
be.
up landing closer to that, right?
Yeah. Right.
And but it is more than that. There is more there to appreciate than those.
Totally.
So, I mean, I guess in one sense, I really appreciate that it brought something fresh to that type of movie, I guess is probably the best way to put it. It's that kind of movie, but with more, you know, it's more substance. A little bit
more pizzazz, panache, substance, creativity. I think, you know, and just, I guess, just general trappings, you know, this is not a, my house is haunted. Like, it's a fucking serial killer story, you know, and it's a manhunt sort of story.
They fucking, you know, they got me hook, line, and sinker.
Totally. Great marketing for sure. I haven't decided if I'm going to sue them yet, but you know, under the Alec Baldwin standard, they're responsible for everything, right? So, I didn't like this as much as I'd liked. So, actually, I'd like to get emotional damages of $10 million.
Exactly.
Sound
right?
Good? It's really close to being something really special. Unfortunately, it lands somewhere closer to pretty good, not revelatory, not groundbreaking, not amazing, but pretty good, you know? So in a weird sort of way, I think I didn't land that far away from Sarah, you know what I mean? But I still think this is definitely more our shit to begin with.
I really thoroughly enjoyed, I guess pretty much everything up until the tell. You know what I mean? Up until you get the whole, once you get the whole understanding of the story,
right? Once it's kind of laid out pretty bare for you,
and it feels, I guess it feels convoluted at best, and like a cop out at worst.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. You know, and I'm kind of torn between like, you know, if I'm maybe this is bleeding into the next section of recommendation, but like if I'm recommending this to someone, do I say, yeah, go in blind, just like experience it for yourself? You know, I think in some ways, if you hadn't seen a trailer or any of the trailers, then like you might not feel jaded, like there's a rug pull or anything like that. Whereas if you have kind of been invested in the way that we were, it does feel a little bit like a, you know, sort of a bait and switch type of thing. And so it's like, the question is, do you warn people? Do you flag that? Is even saying these things out loud sort of a spoiler in and of itself, even though we're not giving the full specifics and the actual nature of things? Like, is that enough that's somewhat of a spoiler? Like,
but is this movie labeled as a supernatural thriller? Supernatural crime thriller, you know?
Right. And I don't think it is, you know what I mean? So,
or is it just labeled as a crime thriller?
Horror thriller, Wikipedia.
Horror thriller.
You know, again, anyone can edit it, but horror thriller. And it is.
They're not right.
But maybe it's also something else.
Wrong, but I think, you know, I feel like supernatural needs to be probably thrown in there, lumped in there when
I think it's like, I think I would have looked at this movie differently walking in the door if I knew that
Sure, absolutely.
to expect that this is going to break from, again, those movies that it feels like it's inspired by and doing a riff on. So yeah, I guess, again, I guess that's kind of why I went to that thought of, well, maybe if I watched it a second time, looking at things differently, I might like it more, because it still is going to have those good hallmarks that it has. It's going to have good performers.
Still inspired.
It's going to have, incredible cinematography. It's going to have the great score. It's going to have those vibes. It's going to have all of it, still, but you at least kind of have a little bit better understanding of what the intent is, behind it. So yeah, I don't know. Again, I won't revisit it in a theater, I don't think, but I would watch it again at some point. So yeah, it's a little bit of a mixed bag for me, and that's a little bit of a bummer to say. And it feels like maybe we're harping on this a little bit, but I think that's kind of the overriding feeling that I had walking out was, just kind of like hemming and hawing about like, I don't know.
I didn't want to have to hem and haw. You know what I mean?
Right. I wanted to go out, and like I was appropriately unsettled. Like there was so much in it that I thought was so effective, and I just, I don't like when a movie doesn't fully stick the landing for me. And I think that is one of the most frustrating things that you can experience in a movie. It's not Promising Young Woman level to me, where it felt like that the end of that movie was just a giant middle finger. This one, I don't think, is intended to punish an audience. I don't think it's intended to piss off an audience. I think it is just coming from a place that makes the third act of this movie feel like it belongs in a different movie. And I think that the incongruity between the different parts of this film
that's the best way
leads to a disjointed and somewhat frustrating experience overall.
Perfect way to describe it. Incongruity.
Yeah, so.
Like it's I don't know. Feels like it's from a different movie.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, any other non-spoilers you want to do? Recommendations?
No, we can do recommendations.
We've been trying to dance as eloquently as possible around things. So our recommendations are watch this in theaters, watch this at home, wait until someone pays you to watch it. I think we can safely eliminate the last one. I think it kind of depends for me. I'm gonna hem and haw in my recommendation because I can. I think that if you are okay having listened to what we've said, if you're listening to this indeed, haven't seen this, walk in knowing that it's going to take a little bit of a turn, and you're up for something like that. I think that a theater environment's really great as long as you can have a good, non-annoying, theater experience, which sure. I will say I did. I saw this on a Saturday.
You saw it at a Drafthouse.
12:30 in the afternoon. 12:30 in the afternoon. Basically a Drafthouse. Only 5 people in there, and they all shut the fuck up. It was great. Everyone like one person per row, the way it should be. And Anna did not come with me. She's going to read the Wikipedia plot synopsis. That's how she usually consumes her horror movies. And it's like, fair enough. At least I can still engage in a conversation with you. I'm like, I don't think that really quite covered it. But at 12:30 in the afternoon, perfect time to see a horror movie, apparently. I think that if you are willing to, not get boxed into thinking that this movie is going to be one thing and being okay with it, kind of maybe giving you a little bit of whiplash when it steers into maybe a different direction that it seems to be driving towards, then I think that there's enough in this movie to appreciate that you could definitely benefit from the theater experience of seeing it, not having your fucking phone on, completely dark. Like, this is the kind of movie that really super benefits from an experience like that. On the other hand, I think if you are going to maybe have some narrative misgivings and aren't, a little worried about how you might respond to that and whether that's going to be worth 2 hours of your time, wait for Netflix, wait for streaming or something like that.
Halloween special. Watch it during Halloween.
That. Yeah, exactly. Like, we're July. We're not in peak horror season like that. This might be available on VOD or streaming of some sort by the time Halloween rolls around. And I think that if you're not 100% on board, convinced, based on kind of, again, what we've said, I think that this would be a great streaming movie or a great, again, even VOD, get a few people that are interested, watch it. Everyone might have a different response to it, a different reaction to it. but I think that it's still worth your time. I feel like it's still worth your time. It's just a question of, is there an imminent need to see it? And I think that really is just going to depend on what you're up for. And I wish that I could wholeheartedly, unreservedly just say, fucking go for it. I don't care if horror is your genre or not. This is incredible.
This is the next Silence of the Lambs.
It's so close. It's close. It's knocking on the door, but it's not quite
True Detective in a movie, right?
Yeah, it's close, but it does not hit that mark, I think, unfortunately. So that's my hemming and hawing recommendation of, it depends. But, and if someone, I will say, and this is true of everything we cover, if someone pays you to watch something, I mean, you should say yes to that, but you don't have to wait for that. You don't have to wait for that to happen. Right. It's unlikely to happen. It's exceedingly unlikely to happen. The point is, we don't
even
want you
get
to watch
pay
it.
to watch things.
No, we pay money. We pay money to do that. It's like, come on. Ugh. I mean, A-list. It's all kind of absorbed. You see enough things. It's a pretty cheap ticket. When
but I mean, we still have to pay to. We're not.
We are still paying for the A-list. That's right. Patreon doesn't bring in enough money to cover both of our A-lists.
That's okay. We have fun doing it, but
that's okay. We do. So anyway, what's your recommendation? Where do you stand on?
So I'll start with Sarah's recommendation. I asked her as she brought up. I kind of like I brought up some extra old school recommendations.
Okay.
Sarah said this is a hotel movie for her.
Okay.
That's kind of where she lands with it.
Not an airplane movie, though, I don't think.
Not an airplane movie. No, I think she said I would not watch it on.
Too uncomfortable for an airplane.
I asked her, do you want to watch it on an airplane? She goes, no. And I think
that's hotel. That's cozy. That's cozy.
Yeah, it's more personal.
You can be under the comfy,
you don't look like a weirdo
under the sheets,
watching
under the blanket. Just laying in bed watching it. I can stand behind that.
Yeah.
I think I think that's a yeah. I would watch this in a hotel. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I think that the movie is I would watch it in a hotel, but I would be engaged with it in a hotel. I think it's worthy of engagement. This movie for me is I'd say that this is a at-home experience for me.
Okay. Yeah.
I think that narratively it just goes in a direction that feels kind of whiplashy. It feels grounded up until a certain point, and then once you hit that certain point, I don't feel like I don't think it's entrenched enough in the direction that it wants to go to make it feel like it's worth it. So like I said earlier, I think it feels like a cop out at worst, or I can't remember what I said at the least, but it was one of those comparison deals that I said earlier. I just don't like where it goes narratively.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of gripes about it. And we'll talk about it in the in the spoiler section. I think it's expertly crafted. I just feel like it's short. It just falls short of where it goes, and it steps off pretty. In my opinion, it steps off pretty hard.
It's a noticeable drop off, sure.
Yeah, which is a shame because it feels like 2/3 of the movie is good. 2/3 of the movie is earned, and there's a lot of investment. It's like maybe did they just like rewrite it? Probably not. I don't think so. I think that's kind of the direction they went. It was just short-sighted, Yeah. And it's really quite a shame. It makes me feel kind of like George Lucas-y. Like you should just bounce this off a couple of other people, or something.
Yeah, right. This is maybe the peril that you run into when you have one man writing and directing.
Ozzy.
Is no one steps in to say, what if we did it this way? You need old fuck Ridley Scott talking your ear off, being like, all right, he's wrong about 9 out of 10 things, but maybe he's right about this one thing. Maybe I will rethink this sort of thing. And yeah, at the end of the day, it's his story. It's his story to tell. Doesn't mean we have to like it. Doesn't mean we have to think that. That doesn't mean we can't think that it could have been told in a better, more interesting, or different, or in way. And so, yeah, I have I think a lot of very similar feelings, and I think maybe we should move on and talk about it. So full spoilers for Longlegs. Let's just talk about the third act at this point. I think that we can backtrack and talk about anything else that comes up, but. Yeah, the supernatural, the devil, satanic magic, all that stuff. It didn't work for me, and it sounds like it didn't work for you either.
No, it didn't work by a long shot. Like, it was just. I think when you try to sell your story as, hey, this is a story about an FBI agent investigating a killer, and they have this which the whole Zodiac letter thing. Okay, I was really hyped about that. That was like a big thing for me. And then for that to be like, hey, I'll give you the key. I give you the key in like the first 30 minutes of the movie. It's like, what the fuck's going on here? I'm going to give you the key and don't tell anybody how you got it. Mm-hmm. That was really fucking lame. I didn't like that. I didn't like that at all.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, right. I could see that. I did like it in the sense that it was his weird, perverted way of communicating with her. Right, yeah. Like, I think, yes. Like,
it was
the actual
pins and needles on how she got the letter.
Right, that whole sequence where it gets dropped off is pretty incredible. Yeah, and I think that's fair. I think that's fair. Fair enough.
And then, so she's got the key, and you don't really know what's going on. And then at the end of the deal, she's solving the crime. Oh, come to find out, Longlegs came to your house and you don't remember it because your mom made a deal with the devil and blah 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 blah. It's like, god damn it, dude, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah. I think up until a certain point, I can be like, okay. I mean, for me, and you may disagree with this, obviously. I don't. The twist of it, being her mom who is kind of the accomplice, fine, totally fine.
That is totally fine.
I think that it's twisty, obviously, but I think it could work well enough. To me, the bridge too far is, actually, he uses satanic magic and he puts the families or the kids in the dolls or something like that, and the dolls are getting delivered in this way, and it all just felt fucking. It felt nonsensical at a certain point to me.
Yeah.
Of it just so
for a movie that's
far
supposed
moved
to be
for everything that had been presented to that point.
Yeah, stapled in like crime investigation FBI shit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So possession, evil dolls, and just shit like that. I don't know. It felt like maybe this was the intent from the get-go. But it kind of feels to me, I don't know if you've ever seen this, but like George R. R. Martin's writing style is like, the way he writes is he doesn't really have like a beginning, middle, and end point. He's just like, I've created these characters and I just kind of naturally build the story based on what these characters would do. And so it just kind of, builds to this certain way. And he kind of writes himself into corners sometimes because he's like, well, I know I want a thing to happen, but I can't find a natural way for that thing to happen. And this kind of feels a little bit like that, where it's just like, I have this really fucking cool idea of this serial killer who has murdered multiple families and doesn't leave a trace of physical evidence, to the point that it looks like he himself has never actually been inside these homes. And to me,
the devil did it.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, the devil did it. Like, oh, okay. The devil made me do it. Yeah, we had a Conjuring movie called The Conjuring. The devil made me do it. We already did that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's like, that's not new. And it's just so at odds with everything that this movie does prior to that, that's where it just feels like, if I wanted a fucking Conjuring movie, I would have watched a Conjuring movie. If I wanted Insidious, I would have watched Insidious. If I wanted that, I would watch those movies, because they put out fucking 5-10 of those movies every year.
It's Amityville
and they're
horror.
Usually fine. Yeah, and they're fine. And they're a very specific type of thing for the people that enjoy them. People really enjoy them, and that's totally okay. And like something like A Haunting in Venice, like, I had like kind of shades of that, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, Hercule Poirot comes in, he's like, actually, this is not fucking bullshit, but there's like a little intrigue, but it's like there's a rational explanation to most of these things. And here it's just like there is no rational explanation. It's just the devil. It's just Satan. Hail Satan. You know, he's doing this shit. He is guiding me through this. And I just think that it just strips the magic of it away, you know, like of just the idea that there is a serial killer who manages to manipulate people in such a way that they will kill their own family and kill themselves to do it.
That's
and again,
way infinitely
it
scarier.
feels like it's like somewhat writing themselves into a corner, because I'm like, look, I don't have a good explanation for how a serial killer would be able to do that. But I didn't come up with the concept. So don't ask me for a fucking solution. I'm just telling you the solution that you gave me is horseshit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just like it just feels right. You said the word cop out before, and that's absolutely what it feels like. It's like, well, you know, the devil. It's like, oh, okay, all right. Well, it's a fucking horror movie, and your answer is the devil. Like, I mean, come on. You know what I mean? Like, even like at least
kind
give
of
me
insulting a little bit.
At least give me the Exorcist and just say it's actually not the devil. It's just the demon. It's a demon working for the devil. Like, at least that's fucking slightly more interesting. I don't know. I just yeah. So it's like you have this really, really interesting setup and a payoff that is not a satisfying answer to that. Like, how the hell is fucking crazy ass Nicolas Cage, Longlegs, Dale Cobble, you know, getting these people to fucking kill themselves? And maybe he has an accomplice, and like you can keep the third act structure of him getting caught and having the reveal of, oh shit, it's mom, you know, who's been kind of in on this from the fucking beginning.
The kids were killing their parents.
Or yeah, something, you know what I mean? Like something, anything. The fucking devil, man. Like, I don't know. Like, it just feels like lazy schlocky shit, you know?
It's
like
lazy schlocky shit. That's exactly what it felt like. That's the kind of way I felt about it. And I felt at odds with myself because I really enjoyed the first 2/3 of the movie.
Yeah,
even when the stupid schlocky shit was happening, I kind of
it's so well made.
I still enjoyed watching it.
Yeah,
You know what
I didn't hate it in the moment. I mean, I was just like,
it's like, man,
there was the dull sensation, like in like my chest, of just being like, you know, like your stomach drops a little bit, not in like a I'm scared sort of way, and like,
it's like this could be, yeah. It's like you eat something
just like
good.
It's just a disappointing feeling.
It's like good pizza, you know. You eat a good pizza, it's like, okay, this tastes good. I like the way this tastes, and then it hits your gut, and it's just, well, oh yeah, this is shit food. This is Hungry Howie's. That makes me feel like shit. You know what I mean? It's like that.
Yeah. I think, I don't know.
It's like a Checkers burger.
I don't know. To me, good. It's like if we're let's pull some food analogies here, and to me, it's like I don't know. It's like a steak made with, you know, the best beef, and
it's
overcooked or something, or it just is bland and flavorless at the end. I don't know. Like, it just, or I don't know. 3/4 of that steak is really fucking good, and then the quarter of it is cooked well done. You know what I mean? You got a nice, you know, medium rare going for 3/4, and then for some reason they decided to hold the end of it to the fucking grill for 30 minutes until it was a fucking hockey puck. And it's like, I didn't want the hockey puck. And also, if I had known the hockey puck was here, I would have cut that off and eaten the rest and thrown that away. That's what I would have done.
Right.
You know what I mean? I wouldn't wait until all I had left was the hockey puck that I didn't know was there. You know, I don't want this hockey puck.
I would have taken.
I like hockey as much as the next guy.
Before I ate Hungry Howie's.
Yeah,
I would have taken a Pepsi, no heartburn. Yeah. You know what I mean? I wouldn't be upset.
Exactly. This is brilliant insight right here. Yeah, it just doesn't work. It doesn't mesh with the rest of what this movie is, and it's not a satisfying answer. And it's like, again, you can almost have the broad strokes of having to go to her boss's, you know, daughter's birthday party, blah, blah, blah. And it kind of plays out in this horrible fashion where she's in this horrible situation where she is powerless to stop these things, but it just sort of powerless. She at least saves the daughter, I guess, maybe, although she seems to be catatonic still because she can't kill the doll because of the devil.
Shoot the doll. Why don't
because
you
the devil.
Shoot the doll?
Well, she can't shoot the doll because she ran out of ammo, and also because of the devil. Don't forget, the devil is involved, and he made her do it. It's so It's so close, and it's such a waste too, because it's just so much good up till that point. It's so creepy, it's unsettling. Nicolas Cage is fucking going for it, and he's fantastic. I thought he was great in this. I thought Nick Cage was
Mommy! Awesome. Daddy!
Like I said, there's a few moments in this where he's going full
totally Nick Cage, dude. And it felt good. I hadn't seen Nick Cage.
He's playing a crazed satanic serial killer, and like I say, satanic. It's okay that he worships Satan, and that's his motive for doing things. It doesn't mean he has to be literally serving Satan and carrying out Satan's,
Satan's shadow over him the whole time.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I will say some of the visuals there was fine. Some of the visual stuff that they did there with like kind of the shadows,
the horns and
like
stuff?
That was fine. The horns and stuff, like that was fine. And that's like stuff in the moment where I'm like, oh yeah, this is fine. And then I think about it after the fact, and I'm like, that's not enough to undo it. The impact of just kind of upending the rest of this movie for no real good reason. But yeah, just pivoting from, again, hardcore. Seven Zodiac-esque, Silence of the Lambs-esque.
It was picking up on some real strong inspirations, dude. It was. Red Dragon.
It was so good at all that. Red Dragon,
even Red Dragon was like really pushing the bound. Like, this is borderline supernatural shit. And then, oh wait, it's not. You know what I mean? Because
and I think
FBI.
that'd be okay. Like, you think there's no rational explanation for how the hell, like. There's a reason this serial killer has been so effective. It's because he does not leave this physical evidence behind. And it's like, oh, boom, we finally get this break in the case where like, oh shit, I'm connected to this guy in some fucking roundabout crazy sort of coincidence, or maybe not coincidental sort of way. Big break, we catch this guy. Turns out there's more to the story. He's got an accomplice. There's other things that are happening. He's already got plans in motion.
And it's my mom.
Joker-esque type shit. And it's my mom. And it's like, all right, it's a lot of twists. It's a lot of twists to throw at an audience. And I really was fine with all of it. And it's like, but also it's the devil. I'm like, no, you did it. You took it one too far. You turned the dial too far. You've overcooked things. God damn it, it's a hockey puck now. It's just... it's too much. It's too fucking much, and it's just too left field. It's too left field for it, and it's just it's so frustrating because like I'm just thinking about this movie. I'm like, the shifting aspect ratios, like like with the Polaroid stuff,
was totally
fucking
awesome.
Great. Again, like the little slivers of Nick Cage that we see even before we kind of see him being a fucking weirdo in the convenience store or whatever. Like, great. When we do see him being more of a weirdo, great. When he's fucking being interrogated and, singing happy birthday and shit, great. I thought that was all great. The introduction of Lee, when she's casing the houses and she has this hunch about this house, and then this guy gets fucking blasted in the head within like 5 minutes of this movie starting, and I'm like, oh fuck. This is a movie that's not holding
We're
back.
in it,
It's
dude.
going for
We're
it.
in it.
I'm fucking in. And like, this is it. And then boom, we're on to the Longlegs stuff. And it's like, all right, maybe she's like fucking psychic or something like that. No, she's not psychic. She has a fucking connection to this case, and like, I don't know. All of it was just almost there. But then the devil made me do it. I'm like, God damn it, man. God damn it. The devil did not make you do it. He didn't. I don't know. Just so close.
The thing that I would really like, the thing I would be curious about is if we were to rewatch it, if you spend the time to rewatch it, the best dupe of all, the best dupe would be if the audience is convinced that the devil made them do it, right? But really and truly, there's evidence within the movie that the devil did not make them do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, maybe somebody's not picking up on it. And it's just so deep-seated that you don't... It seems more of like an Eggers kind of thing, more than an Ozzy kind of thing. Yeah. But that would be very interesting if we see a review like 3 months from down the road that, hey, really and truly the devil didn't make him do it. This is like, here's these like handful of things that show you that, the devil was not involved. It was just, this. But that's very not going to be the case because there's like gas escaping from like the doll brain and stuff like that. So
right. Yeah. No. And it's like, oh well, when they found the one doll, and then the girl, suddenly is no longer catatonic and is conscious, and blah blah blah. It's just so there's too much in it that is definitely intrinsically tied to this twist.
Yeah,
that I don't think there's a double twist.
There's not. Well,
there's definitely there's like triple, quadruple twist, but I don't think there's a quintuple twist or whatever. So
it's just not going to happen for us. It's a missed opportunity, is what I think it is.
Yeah, it's
not
just,
the sum
it's just
of
a bit
its
of
parts.
a bummer.
Yeah,
not the sum of its parts, so it was just so close, and that really is just it. That somehow was more frustrating. Like it sucks. Like I'm not saying I'd rather watch like a fucking movie that sucks ass over this, but it hurts more. If I walk in to, I don't know,
you're enjoying a walk in the park and then you step in a pile of dog shit.
Yeah. It's
worse than walking down the sidewalk and stepping in a pile of dog shit. You halfway expect to step in the dog park. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Or if I, step in, if I don't know, look in the toilet and there's shit in it, I'm like, yeah, that's a reasonable thing to assume that could have been there, someone didn't flush. It is, I don't know. I was trying to think of a good example of like, what's a movie that I'd walk into thinking this is probably going to be bad. And it's like, my brain kept jumping to, I don't know, a Sony Marvel movie.
You're like, the
even the Conjuring movies,
the
James Wan ones. It's like, I don't think these are going to be highbrow. I don't think they're going to be great. They might legitimately be fucking terrible. But they also might be like fine, and like they might be entertaining enough for like what they purport to offer. Right. Which is not game-changing, groundbreaking. It is bog standard horror movie, ghosts, devil, Satan, possession, whatever totally fine. What you want to do, haunting, standard tropey sorts of things, and we'll give it to you. You're going to get it. You're coming into this expecting something. We are going to give you what you expect. And that's a fair expectation to walk into, with a movie, and for something like this. And I'm sure there are other movies or anything where it really has just gone off the fucking rails in like a sort of genre changing sort of way. And I can't think of, I'm sure there are other examples. I can't think of anything quite like this. And I'm curious to know to think about other examples where if it just feels like, oh, no, you've like fucked it. Or if it feels like, oh, you have somehow actually you've heightened this. You've made this more interesting. Like, I think it's because what this reverts to is just that basic ass horror thing. That's the frustrating thing of it.
I think the thing I can think of is Event Horizon. You seen Event Horizon?
Yeah, I have seen Event Horizon.
All right, so Event Horizon is like consistently like one experience, and then they jump to like the hell dimension, and then it's but then the experience is almost elevated because of where like narratively it went somewhere where you did not expect it to go. You know what I mean?
Beyond sci-fi into like straight up fucking horror hell shit. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. So that
definitely did it better. Let's put it that way. I mean, I think because it's less of a leap that it's not as like,
but you don't have something obviously like narratively the whole time being like FBI is not supernatural shit. Maybe if it was like,
it's like
standard cop stuff, maybe,
If it was True Detective season 1, spoilers, I guess. If True Detective season 1 ended with, actually it was the devil, then I'd probably feel the same way of like, well, that's fucking stupid. That's a cop-out. That's not an answer. That's not a good answer to like, no, it's way more interesting that people are just fucked up and do fucked up
terrible
things for fucked up reasons.
Yeah. And it's scarier that way.
That's okay. It's not okay for them to do that, but it is scarier that way. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. This feels American Horror
Makes me
Story
feel good that we're
let's
in the
just
same
throw
spot,
a bunch
though.
of genre things in a blender and call it a day. But at least that I fucking know to expect it of just, we're going to do is bonkers horror shit and just throw it all and see what happens. And you're like, every episode's going to be a whiplash experience, but that's what it is.
If they revealed the shadow of the devil behind the guy in the trailer or something, you know what I mean? Like just some indication that that's the direction that we're moving into.
Right.
It would have made
seeded throughout. It is like sort of seeded throughout, but you're still looking for a rational explanation that feels like everything could and should be rationally explained until it isn't. whereas I think if you did seed more overt, things, and like there's a little bit of it, like with her being somewhat clairvoyant or whatever, but like that's still rationally explained. You have to have something truly unexplainable, I think, to make it feel like, okay, everything can be explained, but what is that one thing? And as it turns out, there's a reason that one thing or the two things can't be explained, and that is how it all comes together. As you thought that this was something that was grounded and rational and could have happened in your world. The real thing is this is something way different than you imagined. But I think there is maybe a way to do it, and it's not just dropping it on you at the last possible second and saying, right, sucker, like that's not
like, I think what made
not the right word.
Amityville Horror so good, because I mean that's effectively what this is. This is like a doll being dropped off, and now your house is Amityville Horror. You know what I mean?
Right.
And maybe I'm saying that wrong. Maybe am I pronouncing that wrong? Maybe I am.
Amityville.
Is that right?
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah,
sounds right.
I mean, that's what it is, though. The dad kills the whole family. You know what I mean? That's what's, and then he kills himself. That's what's going on here.
Right. Yep. Yeah. Right. True. Oh, yeah. Literally. Yeah. In terms of the actual elements. Yeah. Right.
And that movie, the whole progression of the movie. I mean, it's compounded. You know what I mean? The insanity is compounded on the father until finally, boom. And that was a really effective movie. Those are really good. I really like those movies. This is just, like I said, it's a shame because you go in with the trappings of a, Silence of the Lambs kind of situation or whatever, and you don't get it. So, and what's made worse is like when I went to work and it's like, all week long, I was pumped up. Sarah texted me, she says, hey, you want to go see that movie? And like, I'm pumped up about going to Olive Garden and going to see this movie. And I'm telling all my coworkers and everything, hey, listen, these movies are awesome because, you're going in and it's an FBI thing and they kind of show you the supernatural things. You think it might be a supernatural kind of situation, but then it pulls all those layers away and you're left with logical explanations as to how this thing happened, Mm-hmm. And they're really good for critical thinking and everything else because the entire time you're watching it, you're trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. And well, this movie completely shit on me, because there's no logical thinking, there's no critical thinking. It's just the devil. It's like, that's
just the devil. Don't need the FBI to solve that. It's just the devil.
So we've been harping on it for a while.
Ed and Lorraine Warren on the case from the Conjuring franchise.
Stop it.
Crossover potential. All right. Yep. It is what it is. It's a bit of a bummer. And I think it's certainly it was not the movie we wanted it to be, but
2/3 of it we pretty awesome.
It's been a while since we've seen something that we haven't fucking lavished heaps of praise on. I feel like we've had a pretty good stretch of being like,
we've been highly selective.
So good.
Maybe that's why
Furiosa was way better than me expected. Right, we're pretty choosy with things. Shogun was fucking good, man. Like it's been a while since we've really had something that's been kind of a little dispiriting, but it's no Hellboy, it's no Wrinkle in Time. It's still
definitely
got a lot of good merits to it. It just, I think it's the missed potential that really feels like the hardest thing to kind of deal with, so that's Longlegs. All right, there you go, Longlegs. I was just about to jump right back into it and be like, well, let me say one more thing. No, we must leave it there. We must. So I didn't include it on the script, but I think we can do a quick listener's corner on this episode if you're up for it.
All right, yeah. What do we got?
Bruce Brown writes in some movies that he has watched. Poor Things he watched. Thought it was excellent. Emma Stone certainly earned the Oscar she won for this role. Said it was creepy, weird, funny, and sad, but overall exceptionally well done and moved at a rapid pace. Thumbs up. It's funny when I think we FaceTimed and he was like partway through watching it, and I was just like, "Oh, that's an interesting movie. I'm not really sure why you picked that to watch. It's not a movie I recommend to parents, kind of thing. Definitely pretty sexual and graphic and weird fucking Yorgos shit, but he liked it, so." There you go. You just gotta.
Does he like
you gotta stick through it.
Stuff? Lobster and
I don't know if
whatnot.
he's seen any other Yorgoses. I don't know if he has. I think I watched The Lobster with my mom. I don't think she cared for it. I wouldn't be surprised if she didn't share my dad's opinion on Poor Things, but maybe, I don't know. But I don't know. Hey, I mean, it was a critically acclaimed film. It's not a crazy thing to watch, but also watched The Beekeeper with Jason Statham, which I thought was a fun movie, fast-paced, typical for Statham, but good story. Got kind of ridiculous at the end with All Soldiers of Fortune, but who cares? Still good old ass-kicking fun. I feel like this come out at the beginning of this came out at the beginning of the year. It kind of came out.
I don't even remember that
January
movie.
this year.
I don't know anything about that movie.
It's The Beekeeper. He's a beekeeper, but guess what? He's not actually a beekeeper. He's a fucking badass, operative.
Right.
Yeah. I'm the transporter, but I'm a beekeeper. Like that sort of thing. It's a fucking Jason Statham action movie. So, it is what it is. A Family Affair, Netflix movie. Might have heard of this one. Maybe you've seen it. Got Nicole Kidman and Zac Efron. Pumped up.
Okay.
Zac Efron post the Iron Claw. I said it was fine. Nicole looked odd at times, perhaps some work to keep her looking youthful. She's definitely had some work done. I don't think there's any question about that. Acting by the daughter, fairly atrocious to the point of being kind of painful. Overall predictable outcome, but feel good story. Which kind of tracks. Netflix usually puts out a lot of schlock, so not surprised that this is
got to be selective.
Piece of schlock. It would appear from Netflix. They've got good stuff on there too, but then they've got a lot of schlock. And then finally, something that I definitely had never heard of, a movie called Muzzle. You ever heard of this movie, Muzzle?
No.
Is a 2023 action thriller film which stars Aaron Eckhart and a bunch of other people I'm not familiar with. Looks like a generic straight to DVD/streaming action movie, and Bruce Brown's recommendation is just say no to Muzzle. And that's all he says on it. So say no to Muzzle. And I was like, I wasn't interested before. I continue to be not interested. So very good. Very good, sir. So thank you for your entries into the listener's corner. If anyone else would like to chime in, talk about things they've been up to, things they've watched, read, whatever, watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. It's a good way to get into contact with us. And we can talk about that on a future episode. But right now, I'm going to turn the floor over to you, Mr. Meadows. A couple of weeks, I think, roughly, since we did our X-Men 97 coverage. So what's been going on over there? You've been up to... some things have happened to you, or at least you've done to yourself, perhaps. But you might have some other things to talk about, too.
So for baby's birthday... my parents got me and the baby and Sarah a pass to a 4-day park hopper to Disney World. So we went over to.
What could go wrong?
We stayed at the Swan a couple weekends ago. With the family. They got a real cool like 3-room, right? Like the doors opened up 3 ways to 3 other rooms.
They're like connected or something.
Yeah, it was really cool. And it was a fabulous weekend. The last day of the weekend, I can say that the baby thoroughly enjoyed Magic Kingdom.
Good.
Bennett had an awesome time. He didn't get technically his first haircut, but he did get a haircut at the Magic Kingdom.
He got a legit haircut. Legit cut.
And his first ride was Buzz Lightyear in the Magic Kingdom, like where you shoot the things.
The shooter, yeah.
He rode. What else did he ride? He rode
Space
Winnie
Mountain,
the Pooh.
Thunder Mountain.
No, didn't ride
Splash
any of those.
Mountain, or whatever. Tiana's Big Bayou Adventure. Is that what it's called?
They changed it, didn't they? Yeah.
Yeah, Splash Mountain was too racist. They had to change it.
They had Peter Pan closed because they're removing the Native Americans from. Apparently, they're removing the Native Americans from Peter Pan.
Probably also slightly racist in terms of the characterizations would probably be the problem. But
we'll see what happens.
I love Peter Pan though because that's the one that has like the miniatures and stuff with the city and stuff. Right?
It's awesome. It's very cool.
Peter Pan's badass. That's a fucking cool ride. Bring it back.
But we watched the baby's first ride was Buzz Lightyear, where you shoot the Zurg stuff.
How did he do? How many points did he shoot?
Sarah killed me. Because I had baby on my lap. I was preoccupied, and she's just like,
I think you're at a little bit of a disadvantage.
Yeah. And then we rode Winnie the Pooh, which is another one where they have like the Winnie the Pooh's an awesome ride too. By the way, I don't know if you remember it or not.
I'm trying to remember that ride. I don't. I'm sure it would have been
Winnie
on
the
it,
Pooh
but-
ends up like the storm comes in, and he ends up falling asleep. And then he ends up
Oh
dreaming.
yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
yes, I do remember.
it's
I do
real
remember
cool.
it now. Yep.
And
It's Small
Baby
World.
rode
Is that still around?
He just kept waving to all the Poos and stuff. It's very cute. And then
it's a magical experience.
He rode the Haunted Mansion.
Oh, okay. Did he get turned into a little ghost in the thing
No,
too?
he was doing
Does
this.
it work on little children?
He was doing double waves to
good.
all the ghosts, like dancing on the in the dining room.
Not phased by it at all.
He was not phased at all. No, there was no fear at all.
No fright.
Nope. It was fabulous. It was very good. And then he fell asleep during Fantasia, and it was like 120 degrees outside. So we left Fantasia, and we went over and we sat, and we got like 3 bottles of water because we just had to hydrate. And then we ended up leaving. But
I mean, if you're staying there, like you got the 4 day, it's you feel less bad about leaving when you're not just there for the one day, I guess.
So the next day, we went to Epcot, and there's these poles by these the going into the park from the hotels that we were staying at. We used to, when I was a kid, we used to stay at the yacht club all the time. And we don't. Pops doesn't stay at the yacht club anymore. He stays at the Dolphin or the Swan. I can't remember, but there's 2 hotels there that he stays at frequently. And anyways, it shares like the Epcot, and you can take a boat to Epcot or not MGM, but Hollywood Studios. And there's these poles, these big concrete poles that I used to jump over. I used to leapfrog them, going in Epcot all the time.
And you had to like roughly guesstimate the height on these things. What are we thinking? Like 3 feet, 4 feet?
Probably 5.5 foot. If I'm 5'10", they were up to my shoulders. If I'm 5'11", they're up to my shoulders. These poles are fucking large.
So they're pretty tall.
I don't know if they increased the height of
tall.
them or not.
They were maybe discouraging a certain type of behavior and punishing those who try to continue it, perhaps.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, anyways, we were walking up. We grabbed breakfast on the boardwalk. We went out, me, my sister, and Sarah, and my sister's boyfriend, Ben. My mom and dad watched the baby, and we went out to one of the Italian restaurants. We had some wine the night before, and we went to the arcade. We had a fabulous night. Woke up the next morning. I need some coffee. So I got some coffee. I got some breakfast. I'm trying to, feel better. I'm sweating bullets because it's 120 degrees.
Mm-hmm.
And we come up to the poles that I've always jumped, and my mom says, Dinah says, "I bet you can't jump over those anymore." So what?
Challenge accepted.
I bet you can't jump over those anymore. But I can fucking fly over those poles. Anyways, I tried to jump over the pole, and I didn't jump over the pole, and I ended up, the second I went to try to leapfrog over the pole, my crotch caught the tip of the pole, and I went over head first. And I knew if I did not try to correct course, I would have smashed my face from 5 foot up onto the concrete. So I took every ounce of strength of my body and tried to hold onto the pole as tight as I could. And I ended up grabbing a hold of the pole, and I flipped over and I smashed my heel into the concrete. And I messed myself up pretty bad. I got some bruised ribs, and I've been having to wear this boot. I couldn't put any weight on my foot. Thought my foot was broken. I didn't end up breaking my foot. Bruised the bone or got a spring or something. I don't know. I've been fucked up for like 2 weeks. Can't walk. It's
So good day at Epcot.
good. Yeah, I ended up having to rent a scooter and ride around Epcot.
Maybe that wasn't the worst way of doing things.
I did ride Guardians of the Galaxy.
How was that? Had you been on that before?
No.
Is that new?
No, I have not.
Yeah. No, that's new for me. I haven't been since they did that.
It is. I'll be honest with you. I was highly uncomfortable because it like hurt my ribs and everything.
Okay, well that's your fault though, not necessarily the ride's fault.
The ride is absolutely fucking incredible. Super incredible ride. Also, Tron is incredible at the Magic
that's
Kingdom.
another new one.
Road Tron.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
Anyways, baby had a really great time at both parks. We rode the Nemo rides and everything else, and he was really engaged in those like fun house kind of rides.
Classic Disney ride.
And Sarah and I watched a new show, season 2 of The Mole. I don't know if you know about The Mole on Netflix.
I think I've seen that. You know, when you time out on Netflix, it gives you the scrolly things of things on Netflix. I've seen it there, so I've seen like a little
second season's not the best
page of it. So I don't know what it is in terms like it's like a game show of sorts or something, right?
Kinda like there's a guy there that's trying to like be incognito
game show
and like sabotage
reality
stuff.
Or something.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we watched it. Okay. It was okay. It was pretty fun to watch.
What you've seen all of it now?
Yeah, or is it still season going? 2 of The Mole. We watched season 1 a while ago.
Sort of thing.
Okay. And it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it. It's fun to try to guess who the mole is. You know who the guy is, or the gal. You know. And then we also watched. We've been watching some Grey's Anatomy. We're
all right,
going through.
Where are we at now? What season would you say you're on now?
I think like season 3, maybe season 4. I can't remember.
Okay.
There's a lot of
so you still got a ways to go.
A lot of episodes. It's still core people.
Okay.
So that's where
no
we're
one's
at.
left yet. Okay. The good old days, probably.
The only core person that left is not Peterson. I can't remember the cardio surgeon. He left. Anyways.
Gotcha. Okay.
What else have we? Oh, we watched the Anne Hathaway Netflix movie recently. I think or an Amazon movie. It's an Amazon movie. It's called
is that The Idea of You?
The Idea of You, exactly. Yes, we watched that recently.
I haven't seen it. I just know what it is. All right. So what'd you think?
Big doo doo. That one was not mine. I watched it in its entirety. I wasn't really. I'm not a fan. We did, however, watch a Netflix movie
just not for
called Falling with You.
Falling with You.
Have you seen this? Takes place in Greece.
I have not seen it. I'll look it up, but I don't think so. Is this a newer movie, newish movie, or just something that's been on there?
It's about a rock star. The rock star kind of reminded me of Dave Grohl. A little bit.
Okay.
And he does not want to be a rock star anymore, and he moves to Cyprus, the island of Cyprus.
Okay.
In the Aegean, I think is what it's called. Anyways, I'm not quite sure. It's like Greek island or whatever. And he falls in it's like a rom-com kind of deal. But what I will say about this movie is I think it had funny spurts in it. Like he moves to this place, and it's like the suicide capital of like Greece or whatever he's at. You know what I mean? So like people just show up at his doorstep and like jump off a cliff. And so it's got some dark humor in there. I thought that was pretty funny.
Okay, here we go. Find Me Falling, right?
Find Me Falling. That's it. Yeah, okay. That's it.
No, yeah. This just came out 5 days ago on Netflix. This is brand spanking new.
We're hot off the cuff.
Hot off the presses. Oh my goodness! All right. I don't know anything about this movie, so
I will say that
taking it in.
There is. It's shot. I think it's shot like far better than what I would expect.
The quality of the movie or the type of movie that it is, perhaps.
Exactly. There's some symmetry in here. There's some really good shots.
Okay. I was going to say, if it's shot on location, that's probably a cheat code to just make it look beautiful.
No, I believe it's shot on location. It looks like it's shot on location. But like just the composition
it's a paid
of the
vacation
shots,
for the actors.
You can tell it was just thoughtful the way that they composed their shots. And it was just
Well, maybe we've got a burgeoning, cinematographer who, is taking Netflix movies and might one day move on to less schlocky sorts of things, but you never know.
Yeah, you can
or just really likes this gig. It's like, I don't care what I'm fucking making. I'm just gonna make it. I'm gonna make this thing look as good as I can.
Yeah, we're shooting on location in Greece. I mean, you can't make it look bad.
It's hard to fuck it up.
Yeah, but I mean, there's like shots and stuff, like a hospital, like some interior shots and whatnot. It's just a little bit more thoughtful than like the run of the mill rom-com.
Yeah,
which was not
doesn't
present
really
in
seem to give it that much thought,
the idea of you. There was no
as an
thoughtful
example
composition in there, right? So,
yeah, right.
Anyways, so we watched both those movies. That's cool.
All right. Yeah, very nice. That was your trade. Sarah went and saw Longlegs. You're like, all right, now you've got 2 rom-coms that you're on the hook for now.
Yeah, and that first one, not the first one. I guess it would be the second. We watched them. First, we watched the Falling with You or whatever that movie was, and then we watched the Anne Hathaway one.
For me, Find Me Falling.
Find Me Falling. We watched Find Me Falling first, and then The Idea of You.
Okay.
I enjoyed that first one a lot more than I enjoyed that second one. Second one was okay. I just didn't think it had a whole lot of redeeming qualities. Like the guy was charming. There was like a heated sex moment in there. It was like, okay, that's like passionate, Okay. But it was just kind of schlocky a little bit. So,
all right,
and
all right. Anything else coming to mind? TV shows? Anything else? Yeah. All right. Well, as always, feel free to interject if you recall anything.
Oh, The Boys.
Oh, The Boys. There you go. Good.
I started The Boys season. I guess 4 or 3.
Season
of The Boys?
4. I think we're up to 4 now. Yeah. So I think it's actually done. I think all the episodes are
fabulous. I'll
on
finish
Prime
up this
now.
weekend then.
How far along are you as of now?
I'm like episode 4, I think.
So roughly halfway or so. How is it? Is it The Boys still?
It's still The Boys. I don't think it's anything quite groundbreaking. Like I haven't seen the whale episode or.
I have heard that. Yeah, a lot of what I've seen is it ends strong, but it's not anything amazing until then. That's kind of what I've heard. I don't know.
Okay,
if you
well,
will agree or disagree with that.
I would. So far, I would agree. It's nothing groundbreaking or anything else. It's just kind of
and it's still like good.
Forward.
It's quality. It's The Boys. It's kind of what you expect it to be, but it hasn't. It doesn't really get to the holy shit. What the fuck is this fucking show types of shit until the end. That's what I've read. But again, that's complete hearsay. So, I think Anna and I have made the executive decision that we will watch Gen V before we go in on The Boys season 4. So don't expect to hear anything on The Boys season 4 from me for a while, because it's going to be a long time, because we haven't even started Gen V. So yeah. I've heard that they tie in together a little bit though, so it might be worthwhile. I'll let you know in a year when I finish Gen V. The Acolyte, yes.
The Acolyte. Started and finished The Acolyte.
Yeah, I think we've been internally debating, is this a show that we dedicate an episode to? I mean, it might be worthwhile to do so. Maybe not here. We're already, pretty far along. So if nothing else, we can hold it for another episode. But I have thoughts on it. I have finished it myself, to say that. But I think, it's an interesting sliver of Star Wars, different era, new characters, different things going on. So it might be worth fleshing out with a more of a deep dive type conversation potentially. So we'll see. There's a lot going on, as we'll talk about at the end of the episode. Like, there's a lot happening right around now in terms of what's out and available to talk about. But at the end of the day, it's also something that we both watched that doesn't require a theater visit. So maybe it's, something we could get around to sooner rather than later. So I don't know. But I have thoughts on The Acolyte. I expect you do as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know exactly if we'll feel the same way, but I would be curious to talk about it. So maybe we'll
for sure.
Maybe we'll leave it there for now. And see what we want to do with that in terms of
I watched an X-Men. Watched the first X-Men, the
first
OG.
X-Men, the OG. Okay.
Yeah, but aside from that, that's all I got. I'm tapped.
All right.
Oh, No, I'm not. I finished the 3-Body Problem and started the Dark Forest, the second book.
Okay, the book. Okay, because you'd already finished the show, right? Or like you watched the first.
Yeah.
Okay, and so you finished the first book. How was the first book? I think you liked it better than the show, as I recall from the conversation on our X-Men episode. But X-Men 97 episode.
I think that I think it's more interesting than the show.
The setting, I think, is what you mentioned. With I guess the setting, I think, is what you liked about as I recall, what you liked about the book compared to the show.
Yeah, the show feels largely kind of like it's not really whitewashed because there's a lot of people of color and like a lot of different nationalities and stuff.
Right,
but at the same time,
but it's not a Chinese cast in a Chinese setting. It's a lot of British people in Britain, presumably. So yeah, different feel, different flavor than what the book offers you. Even though the book is in English or translated
and
to
not
English,
that, not that I didn't. I mean, I thought the concepts were interesting in the show. But as books usually do, there's just a lot more detail and a lot more thought-evoking things happening in the book.
Lose a lot in the adaptation process most of the time. Yeah,
exactly. Right. So, while I think the show I think it represented what it needed to represent in order to convey the ideas of the book, I think the book's got a lot more substance, and I think it's more interesting. And I if you're a fan of sci-fi, and like even if you're just like a fan of science, just in general, I think this plays really fast and loose with like concepts and whatnot. Okay. As somebody that's kind of like I don't know, I just feel like I'm more science forward than some people, and I don't know. I thought the book was really compelling. I think it's really interesting. It's thought invoking and. It's just hard sci-fi, right? Like it takes existing concepts. So like, even if you have like a surface level understanding of certain things, it runs with it in unique ways. And I don't know. I really enjoyed it. Mm-hmm. Then the second book is, a little bit more political in nature. Okay. While still being like grounded in those hard sci-fi ideas. And so I think the second book, I think I'm probably going to sound like Enrique in this respect. I think the second book is expanding on these established ideas and whatnot in a huge way. And it really makes the concept of what the book's trying to establish super, super, super interesting. Like it turns like the things that happen in the story. It turns the human race into like it puts us in a position to be reactive to certain things, and it really examines under the microscope of like different cultures and like human nature and just a lot of really I don't know, just it's just a lot going on. There's a lot going on in the book, and it's really good. That's all I can say. So that's all I can say about that.
All right. For now, so, keep reading or listening and check back in.
I'm listening. Yeah, right.
All right.
Get on to you so we can wrap this thing up.
Sure. So I'll start for my stuff. Just I want to check back in and give some thoughts on A Quiet Place Day One. Since I did catch it in theaters, I caught it in Dolby before it was replaced by something or another. I don't remember what, but so an interesting thing about this, and the date is not super confirmed, but there were reports that this is going to come to VOD on July 30th, which is to say very, very soon or already happened, depending on when you're listening to this. So you may not have long to wait if you want to watch this at home soon, but I think that I think the moment has passed to cover it for an episode, so I'm just going to say a couple minutes on it and move on. I liked it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. I think that it is an interesting movie in the sense that I think the story that it is telling is pretty compelling and interesting and not what you'd expect out of a Quiet Place prequel. And I think that works to its advantage of, I think, being a more interesting story than I expected for the movie. Works to its disadvantage in the sense that I don't think it's a good Quiet Place prequel. I think that the title is sort of misleading. It is technically Day One, but I think the focus of the story drifts away from like, what is the world like when, you know, things went quiet, when these fucking monsters landed and stuff. So I think that it's kind of a twofold thing where I think if you can appreciate it for what it is trying to be, it's sort of a not quite a Longlegs type thing where it's a bait and switch, because I think within the first 5 minutes, this fucking movie kind of signposts who it's about and what what her story is and why her story is going to be kind of interesting as juxtaposed against the fucking creatures coming and, you know, eating people that are really loud or, you know, make noise and shit. So I think as long as you can kind of, you know, recognize that and get on board with it, I think it's a very good version of that. And I'll just say very, very light spoilers. I think what's really interesting is Lupita Nyong'o, who plays the lead, she is a terminally ill woman who, you know, when this shit happens, has different goals. You know, everyone is survive. She's like, I'm going to die anyway. Like, you know, what do I have in this? Like where is my investment? Like, it's not about survival necessarily, because I know I'm going to fucking die. And so her right. kind of personal journey, I think, is really, really interesting because of the way, again, that it's juxtaposed against this story of everyone surviving, because that's natural. Everyone wants to survive. So I really, really liked that kind of personal story. Joseph Quinn's very good in it. Mr. Human Torch himself in the near future. Very, very good. Lupita Nyong'o, fantastic. She has an extremely expressive face, which is perfect for a movie that relies on as little dialogue as possible. And so I really liked that. There's a cat in it. Cat's a star of the show, maybe. Cat's very good. You know, and there's some like little bits of lore expansion for The Quiet Place, like creatures and stuff like that. But I think in terms of, again, it being a Quiet Place prequel, it doesn't really give you any more than what we saw in those 5 minutes of A Quiet Place Part 2, when it's like the baseball field and shit, and you kind of get that little bit of flashback. Like, I think that gave you just as much monster mayhem day one sort of action. This is different because it's in New York City. There's a little bit more going on. But again, I think if you treat it for the story that it is, not for the idea of what a crazy Quiet Place prequel could be, I think that it has some value there, which was not what I expected going in, but it tells you what it is pretty quickly, leans into it. I think it's a pretty good version of that. So yeah, I would overall recommend A Quiet Place day one. Obviously, at this point, I don't expect you to go see it in the theaters. I think you'd probably be fine seeing it in a theater. It's pretty short, at home, pretty breezy. But if it comes to streaming in 6 days from when we're recording, you could do far worse things with your time, is how I feel about it. So that's my Quiet Place day one thoughts. And I'll try to go through these other things pretty quickly, run down the list. Some of these things I scrapped from our X-Men 97 episodes, so we're going back like a month for some of this shit. I did it for time, and we've run into the similar issue here, but it is what it is. It's how we do things. So, movies. I watched a movie called Mona Lisa Smile, which is, I don't know, these days a fairly old movie, I think early 2000s, 2003. Great cast, stacked cast of Julia Roberts, Kirsten Dunst, Julia Stiles, Maggie Gyllenhaal, Dominic West, Topher Grace, John Slattery, and the list goes on. It's basically What If Dead Poets Society, but women. And it's interesting. Basically, Julia Roberts is an art teacher who comes to this college and challenges the students on, you know, what is art, what is good art, blah blah blah. And she's got a lot of women who are very conservative, and this is in the 50s, so society in general is very conservative, and so she's kind of challenging gender norms and stuff like that. And it's interesting. I thought it was good. It was a movie that I'd heard of, never seen, and I put it on a whim. I missed like the first 20 minutes. I half watched it, you know, I was probably playing Snap or something, and then it sucked me in, so I watched it, and I was like, well, it's pretty good. You know, it's a little jumpy. It's not quite as good as Dead Poets Society, but it is very much in the same vein. And I think, I can't remember, I think it might have been on Max, so I think it's streaming somewhere. So if you're interested in watching, if anyone's interested in watching that, I thought it was pretty good. Netflix, one of those things. I think Max. I don't remember. It's fine. But yeah, would recommend. Also watched for the first time, and a much older film, 12 Angry Men. Have you ever seen 12 Angry Men?
That sounds familiar. What is that?
1957 film. I think there's a remake from a couple decades later. It's a legal drama about a jury of 12 men. The whole movie, for the most part, aside from the first 5-10 minutes, takes place in one room as the jury deliberates on a murder case in New York. And so it's basically a really interesting setting where there's the AC doesn't work or whatever, or the fan doesn't work, and it's super fucking hot. So everyone's getting sweaty and miserable and pissed off. And there's one juror, everyone's ready to convict this guy, and one juror's like, well, hold on a second. I don't think he's guilty. and so the whole movie, it's like 90-ish minutes. So the whole movie is basically them kind of arguing through the case and the evidence, and you know, this guy trying to basically point out maybe some holes in the story that they've been given, and little things. And again, as someone, we've done some legal stuff already, so it's maybe better that I included it here. Fucking great. It's a great movie. You know, it's tough to make movies that take place basically in one setting and keep it interesting, but this does it. You know? And it's really, really good. Great actors. And Henry Fonda is the holdout juror. And I think there's some other recognizable old school actors in it, Lee Cobb and some others, but great. Had never seen it. It's one of those like blind spots where, like once when you become a lawyer, you're like, all right, now I got to watch all the lawyer movies. So I did My Cousin Vinny a while back, and now I've got 12 Angry Men under my belt. I think we ended up just buying it on Prime. I don't think it was streaming, but very good. Would recommend. Started this on the plane back from Florida and finished it on Max. Documentary about Willie Mays called "Say Hey, Willie Mays," who's one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Was well, I don't know who you were thinking of.
I think I was thinking of Billy Mays.
Billy Mays. Billy Mays here. Willie Mays here. Not quite.
Willie
right.
Mays. What's his name? Billy? Is it Billy?
Billy, I think Billy Mays is the fucking OxyClean guy, right?
Infomercial guy, right?
Yeah. Well, I would fucking watch a documentary on Billy Mays. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah, Billy Mays. Yeah, fucking dyed beard. Come on, you're not fooling anyone. I mean, he's dead now, but he wasn't fooling anyone. All right, he's been dead for like 15 years, but not Billy Mays, but indeed Willie Mays. Willie Mays was an outfielder in baseball who's one of the earlier black players that moved into the major leagues from the Negro leagues, and kind of following the footsteps of Jackie Robinson, but considered just one of the greatest baseball players of all time. Played for the Giants most of his career, Mets part of his career, and it was interesting. He passed away pretty recently, about a little over a month ago, age 93. So that's kind of what inspired me to watch it, and it's a pretty good breakdown of kind of his career, his kind of role, and helping black and minority players break into the majors a little bit, and sort of obviously the struggles of that aspect of things, and his mentorship of young players like Barry Bonds in particular is kind of it's interesting. Because he had a close relationship with his dad. So anyway, I would recommend it. It's on Max. Say Hey, Willie Mays is the name of the documentary. So would recommend. All right. So moving into TV territory. Anna and I have totally finished The Crown. We watched seasons 5 and 6 of The Crown on Netflix. AKA it's The Crown, but actually it's just Princess Diana, the TV show. Is kind of what it turned into for a while there. Season 5 I thought was pretty bad. Fell off a cliff, I think, in a big way. The Crown, I don't know if you remember, but basically the first 2 seasons are a younger cast of younger Elizabeth, younger Philip, blah, blah, blah. And then it jumps like 20 years with recasts so that all the characters are a bit older. And then they did the same thing for seasons 5 and 6, where now you've got kind of an older Diana, or an older Elizabeth, and older Diana too, actually. Older everyone's old. It's Umbridge from the Harry Potter movies playing the Queen now, and she kind of looks and sounds like Umbridge, so it's pretty fucking distracting. She doesn't make anyone write anything in blood, which is good, but still a little distracting, and yeah, it really kind of devolves a little bit into being very Diana focused, which obviously Diana was a hugely magnetic figure person as part of the royal family, and past it, beyond after the divorce with Charles and stuff. But and Elizabeth Debicki plays her. She's great. She's very, very good. It just narratively gets very focused and honed in on her, and it just gets a bit schlocky and not as good as it was when it was focused on Elizabeth and stuff. And so there is a point in the show where Diana's death happens and is kind of depicted, and I think once it kind of moves beyond that, I thought it got a little bit closer to what it used to be. But so season 5 I thought was not good, not like horrible, but like just a huge step down from what it had been. And season 6 was generally a step up, except for it was split into 2 parts. The first part was very Diana focused about her death and the aftermath. I thought that was bad. Weird use of ghosts having conversations with people. Again, we don't need to throw supernatural shit into things that are not supernatural. It's fucking weird. Not literally, it's just like imagined conversations, but it comes across as very fucking, honestly rude and like disrespectful. So, to Diana herself. And so once it gets past that, it moves on to William and Harry and Kate Middleton and, like kind of names that you might recognize. No Meghan Markle in this. But I thought the end of season 6 was better. And I thought the finale of the series, the show itself was actually pretty good. It was pretty good. A good way of bringing all of the Elizabeth actors together in a way that made sense, that was fitting and felt like a good kind of send off for the show. So overall would recommend The Crown, but you're gonna have to slog through some shit. But high points of The Crown, seasons 1, 2, and good chunks of 3 and 4, really fucking good. So overall, Crown's very good. It's a show that won like 8 billion Emmys, gets nominated for shit every year, even when it's not good. So one of those kind of shows. One of the few Netflix like prestige things that actually, got them some accolades. So, moving quickly through the others, all of MASH, the original MASH, not the movie that Donald Sutherland starred in, but the TV show that was inspired by the movie. One of Anna's favorite shows. We just watch it here and there, so we finished season 1 of it. I don't know. I know you watched some older shows, I think more Western stuff back in the day, like Bonanza and shit like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if MASH was ever anything. Yeah, it's very funny. I think it at a certain point drifts into being not as funny, but it's very much a comedy for season 1, or at least for the first few seasons. It's good. I really, really enjoy it. I think it's very funny. I think first aired in 1972, so it's 70s that we're talking about here. So it's all streaming on Hulu. It's very funny. We'll keep watching it. There's a fucking bunch of seasons. We'll get through it. I think she's seen all of it before, but this is my first time watching. So season 3 of Abbott Elementary wrapped up a while ago. I did finish that a while ago. I think that was another one I scrapped. Did you watch season 3 of Abbott?
Watching it. No, Sarah's actually walked out there to grab one more beer for tonight, and Sarah was watching it.
Oh wow, watching it without you. Interesting. I guess we went too long. That was your punishment. I won't get too specific with it then. Any ideas how far along you are in it? Like halfway-ish? Because it was a shortened season because of the strike.
I'm not quite sure. I don't think very far. I think I'm like 3 or 4 episodes in.
All right. Well, you're far enough that like Janine has another job sort of thing.
Yeah, right for the district.
Right. I didn't love that storyline. I felt that kind of held the show back a little bit, but I thought it did kind of right the ship a little bit towards the end of the season. I felt like they had, spurts of funny, spurts of, being good, and then spurts of being not as sharp and witty as it had been in previous seasons. Again, maybe strike influenced. But I thought by the end, I felt like, all right, this was a good short season. I'm down for more. Season 4, I think I'm still looking forward to. I felt like season 2 ended in a sort of like meh kind of fashion. Season 3 I thought was better. So I'll say that. So last on the list, I'm up to date on House of the Dragon. Assume you haven't been watching any of it, so you're going to find yourself in a binging situation.
Yeah, right.
Maybe start on it. You still got a couple weeks before it wraps up, so so you don't have to totally do it all.
This Sarah's out of town this weekend, so
I do like 2. Like shoot for like 2, maybe 2 or 3 if it grabs you, maybe. But just don't do it in a single sitting. I think is the takeaway from the season 1 experience anyway. It's good so far. 2 episodes to go. There's some episodes where some big shits happen. Some episodes that have been a little bit more setup and stuff like that. And I'm curious to see where it kind of goes. It's a shorter season. It's only 8 instead of 10 this season. So I think it's through 6 now, and we are up to date on it. But definitely enjoying it. Trying to keep on top of it because the one big episode was when we were still behind, so we got spoiled on shit because, there's no moratorium on spoilers. If something big happens, it must be announced on Twitter within the second it happens, as loudly as possible. So that's how it goes. So anyway, there we go. All right, we did it. We can wrap it up there, call it a day, call it an episode. So I'll say thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, please spread the word. We are on Patreon at patreon.com/watchreviewrepeat. You can get early access to all of our regular episodes like this one, as well as timed exclusive access to any bonus episodes that we work on in the future and record for you. We had the idea of doing an X-Men bonus episode. You have watched one of 3 X-Men movies, the original trilogy, so I don't know. We're a day away from Deadpool and Wolverine coming out in cinemas, and we're going to be super behind getting around to it at some point anyway, so I don't know what the hell we're doing bonus episode-wise. We may press on. I don't know.
I am intending to watch both Twisters and Deadpool this weekend.
Okay. All right. So you got some theater things under your belt then. Okay.
Yeah. Might potentially. It's my weekend off.
Okay.
And I'm going to be wifeless and babyless this weekend.
All right. So you're left to your own devices. This is your weekend to I'm fucking watching everything.
Yeah, I could potentially watch everything. Yes.
All right. Don't do 6 episodes of House of the Dragon. I will. Don't do it. Don't do it to yourself. Spread it out. Other shit, fine. You know what I mean? But
I do also get my sleep apnea machine this weekend. I get it
little CPAP
Friday,
action.
So
awesome.
I might just be sleeping. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's not even necessarily the quality of sleep or the quantity. It's just the quality of it might be better. So even if you're getting exactly the same amount, it's more refreshing. That's kind of the idea. So
that's it.
So anyway, X-Men bonus episode, maybe, once upon a time, I was like, if we had done this 4 years ago, pre-wife, pre-baby, pre-all that shit, it would have been like X-Men trilogy, Wolverine trilogy, X-Men prequel trilogy, Deadpool movie, we're not doing that. So if we can do an X-Men original trilogy bonus episode, since we kind of had that idea, we talked about it a little bit, it'd be fun. But you already mentioned 2 things right off the bat that we might also want to cover, plus the Acolyte. So it's like, well, fuck. When are we going to find the time for that? So maybe it'll happen. Maybe it won't. I don't know. But, stay tuned. We'll do something. We'll do something at some point. I can say that definitively. Something at some point will happen. So anyway, there you go. Websites, watchreviewrepeat.com. We are on most of the socials on the internet. We are on Twitter at WRRPod. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/watchreviewrepeat. We are on Instagram at watchreviewrepeat. As I said earlier, if you want to be on a future edition of the Listener's Corner, if you've got something to say, send it our way to watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. You got questions, comments, suggestions, that's the place to do it. Our intro and outro track is Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com, which is licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. I don't know what we're doing next. We've got options. We've got Acolyte. We've got Twisters. We've got Deadpool, which is, again, right around the corner. I think Deadpool is probably, I think maybe we might try to do things somewhat sequentially of, save the newer stuff for later, work on stuff that is older first, but I don't know. I'd like to cover all of those, but I don't think we're going to do it right now in the next week, in the next 2 weeks, maybe in the next month and a half, through August, throw an Alien Romulus in there. Maybe we can hope to have covered most of everything in that list by the end of August, with moving. And it's just like things are going to be a little chaotic. So, I've seen Acolyte. I have seen Twisters. I saw Twisters yesterday, actually. So I'm prepared to talk about that. And I'm seeing Deadpool tomorrow, opening night. So I'll have all of them, ready to talk about. It's just about, obviously, finding the time to do it. It sounds like I was a little worried of like, oh God, is Andrew going to see 2 movies in theaters in the next couple of weeks? And it's like, that could be tough. But it sounds like you might actually have a plan in place. So maybe there's a way to make it all work. Maybe something might fall by the wayside. We might combine things. We could do a double episode if we needed to. Whatever. We'll figure it out. We don't have firm plans yet, but hopefully we can we'll talk about all of those in some capacity. It's just figuring out what's getting an episode, when's it getting an episode, all that sort of stuff is kind of, that remains to be seen. But one step at a time. We got Longlegs covered, and that's step one, right? So
that's it, right? One foot in front of the other.
Yeah, exactly. So that will do it. Andrew, if you want to take the fine folks listening out.
Take care now. Bye-bye then.
Laters on the Menche.